Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
सर नमस्कार सर.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
नमस्कार सर.
Namaskar. iPad. Who is iPad?
सर मीच आहे गौरीश.
बरोबर. Okay. Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good evening.
Very good. Good.
Yeah. I hope it is a good morning for Maharashtra today.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Is everybody here now? More or less? Should we wait for 5 minutes more or should we begin?
But we can wait.
I think we can wait.
Yeah.
Let's wait for 5 minutes exactly. And meanwhile, maybe we can message some of the people. Some people have informed that they can't come because of the election duty.
Right.
Others, we can wait for 5 minutes and then start. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Did you say something, Gaurish?
No sir. So can you hear me?
Yes. I thought, in fact, since we are waiting for 3 minutes, I thought let us just greet each other by switching on the video. Just greet each other, So, namaskar. Long time I'm meeting everybody again.
नमस्कार.
Namaskar. And
Namaskar, sir.
namaskar. Namaskar, Archana.
Namaskar.
Hello, Nandan.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so just a short prelude. I think we can begin now in 2-3 minutes, but just a short prelude, which is that whatever I'm going to be telling you today is more like my own, you can say more adventures, or you can say more of my own, let's say, experiments with Jyotish in of the case which I actually got. So this is the case of Dwadashottari Dasha. And it was more in the context of, it is not exactly like an exam syllabus that I'm covering, but I'm going to be covering some different concepts which have not been taught perhaps. So that part is there. I think let's begin. Okay. So welcome to this class. And today I'll be discussing a case which actually came to me on the 11th of September this year. This is a very peculiar case and a very rare case actually of a case which fits the criterion of Dwadashottari Dasha. And I just thought it will be good to share with this group and as a part of the first lecture of the advanced predictive. So welcome to the advanced predictive class. The next lecture is going to be about career. So I'm planning to discuss a case study of Narayan Murthy in terms of the career part, in terms of a deep dive into the D10 and other related things. Okay, so that is the purpose. Right, so let's start now. I'll be sharing now the PPT. Okay. Are you seeing? Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So welcome. Now, so the thing is, Anshul, you can just switch off the video and I will later on also do the same after some time. Okay. So now, as a part of our Pravina study or as well as Visharad study so far, we have been introduced to the Dasha systems of Parashar Rishi. Okay. So one sec. Now, we normally use nakshatra-based dashas, right? So we use Dwadashottari Dasha, we use Yogini Dashas, for example. We also use dashas like Chara Dasha, for example, which are Rashi Dashas, Jaimini Chara Dasha. Also, I use Narayan Dasha quite a lot. Okay, so I'll be talking about that. But basically, the Dwadashottari, there are specialized dashas which have specialized criteria. Okay, and these are very rare criteria. So one wonders why these criteria are actually there. And we really don't analyze. So for example, in Dwadashottari Dasha, there is a criterion. I'm coming to the next slide, but before I come to that, there is a criterion about the lagna of the D1 and the D9. Okay. Basically something to do with with connection with the lagna of the D1 and the D9. In the Panchottari Dasha, you have to have a Cancer ascendant in the D1 and the D12, for example. So why these dashas have been defined by Parashar Rishi? So I have an actual case study in front of you, which I want to share. And I also want to cover a lot of theory about this because we don't really cover the theory part of it. I have some access to some other literature which has helped me in this respect. So Dwadashottari Dasha. Now there is a shloka or there is a sutra in BPHS which says, okay, is my voice clear and audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. If you don't hear anything, just let me know. I'll adjust the volume here. So, Shukran Shake Prajatasya Vichintya Dwadashottari. Now, Sanskrit is a very strange language in the sense it's a very precise language also. So, we have to really read carefully. What does this mean? It says Shukransha. What does Shukransha mean? Shukransha is the Naumaush of Shukra. So, where Venus is located, the Naumaush in which Venus is located, of course, in the D9 chart. Now, when you say Prajatasya, that is a connection which is being sought between the D9 and the D1. So we are connecting the Venus Naumaush to the D1 chart, correct? Vichintya Dwadashottari. So Vichintya means then we think of Dwadashottari, or then Dwadashottari comes into picture. So that's the very concise Sanskrit way of putting it. What it means is if the sign of the Naumaush of Shukra is the ascendant sign in D1, then Dwadashottari Dasha is applicable. Okay, so this has to be understood. So which means, what it means is that let's say you have a Libra ascendant in D1 in which there is Venus in the ascendant in D1 in Libra, and you have Venus in the ascendant in Scorpio in D9. Will it qualify as a Dwadashottari Dasha? No. No. It means that the same Naumaush of Shukra should be the D1 ascendant. Okay, now Vargottam, Taurus and Libra ascendant are special cases, okay, of the criterion. That means now, so I'm coming to the structure of the Dasha. So, so in our particular case today, we are going to find this criterion met. Now, the Dasha structure. Now, basically, this kind of these individuals have a can I ask Gaurish to just please switch off the video? Yeah, thank you. Now these individuals, there is a Venus influence in their life from past life. There is a very, very deep Venus influence. In fact, in the next couple of hours, you will realize the impact of this in the actual case study. Now, in the Dasha, all the planets are in the Dasha except Venus, because Venus is the basis of the dasha. Venus is the rock on which the building is built. So the rock is not part of the building. The building is sitting on the rock of Venus, like that. The sequence of the dasha is also very specific. Okay, so the sequence is like, in case of Dwadashottari, we have Ketu, Venus, Sun, Moon, that way. So here the sequence is very different. Here the sequence is Sun, Jupiter, Ketu, Mercury, Rahu, Mars, Saturn, that way. Now, how is this sequence coming from? So you will ask me, is this random? No, it's not random. The scripture says that the fifth planet from Sun, and thereon the fifth planet from the fifth planet. So, and in what sequence? You look at the weekday sequence. So when you say Sun, if you see the weekday, if it is Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter, right? So therefore Sun, Jupiter. After Sun comes Jupiter. Then how do you account for Rahu, Ketu? Let's say you count from Jupiter. Jupiter, it is Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and then there is Sun, no? But because Sunday. But in between there is Ketu and Rahu and Ketu. So Ketu becomes the fifth from Jupiter. Then you start from Ketu, in this case, Ketu, Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury. Like that it goes on. Except that whenever you come to the fifth planet, if it is Venus, you have to accept that. So I'm just giving you a theoretical part because this will not be told to you anywhere else. The reason I'm doing this is I just want to cover some theory also before I get into the case. Now the dasha duration here is 7 years starting from Sun. So if it is Sun, it is 7, then it is 2 years for every succeeding planet. So that means if it is Ketu, it will be 11 years, like that. Okay. And how do you do the dasha calculation? You count the number of nakshatras from the moon nakshatra to Revati. Okay. Here in this our particular case, the moon nakshatra is Anuradha. I'll come to that. I'll show you the screen later. If you count from Anuradha to Revati, it is 11. Okay. You expect multiples of 8. So remainder is 3. That means the starting dasha is the third from Sun in the above sequence. So Sun, Jupiter, Ketu. So the starting dasha here would be Ketu at birth, which you will actually see in the software. Okay, so I hope this part is clear, or rather, this is a new input perhaps for you. So this is how the dasha is calculated, right?
Sir, one question.
Sure.
We don't have moon in this sequence also?
Of course, you have moon. So it will come. Moon will come if you go beyond Saturn again. So let's say we are counting after Saturn. You see here sequence of dasha, the last is Saturn here, no? So
Yes, sir.
obviously it goes beyond Saturn. So you count beyond Saturn. So it is Saturn ke baad Rahu, Saturn 1, Rahu 2, Ketu 3, Sun 4, Moon. Saturn ke baad Moon aayega.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so that is the clarification.
Thank you.
And what will happen is if you count later, you will come to Venus. You have to then skip Venus. That's the thing. Okay. Now, so that part. Now I'm ready to get into the case as such. Okay. So, any other questions? Thanks for the question, Chul. Yeah.
Sir, why Venus important here? Why is Venus important?
Why Venus is important? Because what has happened is Parashar Rishi has dedicated a complete dasha called Dwadashottari Dasha. In such cases where the Venus influence is extraordinary, you will find it in the later part of the lecture, that this person's soul, mind, everything is infused with Venus from perhaps several lifetimes. So what has happened is Parashar Rishi has defined such individuals, different dashas. You have so many different other dashas also. No, you have Panchottari, you have Ashtottari, all these other dashas, non-standard, what we call nakshatra Udu dashas. So for this individual, to understand this individual fully, this is the way it is defined, that this is a special dasha for these individuals who fit the criteria Shukranshake Prajatasya Vichintya Dwadashottari. I'm not talking about necessarily a case where somebody has exalted Venus in the D1 and exalted, let's say, Vargottam Venus in the D9, again exalted and all that. Just very strong Venus. So therefore, no, I'm not saying that way. That's a separate thing. This is much more karmic it's like this person has come with a karmic agenda of Venus. Are you following?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Yeah.
My
And
my question is, or another question is, so are there any similar such dashas for other planets?
yes, there are. For example, I will tell
Okay.
you a good question. And perhaps if I have been very lucky with this case because I can share this case because luckily I got this case. God has given me this case in the form of a real case study. This was not available in any book. Okay. But I will tell you another situation called Panchottari Dasha. Now, in Panchottari Dasha, the criterion is D1 and D12. Ascendant has to be Cancer. Are you following?
Okay.
Now, you might say, उसमें क्या है? It's very weird, na? It's kind of Panchottari D1, D12. Now, D12 is also Suryansha, if you remember, if you know. D12 is Suryansha. The other name for D12 is Suryansha. It is not only Dwadashottari, it is Suryansha, which means the 12, the D12 is a chart of the Adityas, the 12 Adityas. Okay. Now, that means who is the governor of the D12 divisional chart? Sun and the moon, both the luminaries, right?
Right, sir.
And in the D1, so if in the D1 you have the moon in the ascendant and in the D12 you have the moon in the ascendant, it indicates the reflective nature of the moon as a luminary for the D12 chart, which is a Suryansha Kundali, which also indicates parental inheritance to the child as a part of the Annamaya Kosha. Okay, so just a small diversion here, but I think perhaps you will appreciate this diversion. D1 to D12 divisional charts fall under the Annamaya Kosha. D12 to D24, the charts which come in that, the second one is the Pranamaya Kosha. The D24 to D36, the charts which come there is the Manomaya Kosha. D36 to D48, the charts in that is the Vijnanamaya Kosha, and 48 to 60 is Anandamaya Kosha. Therefore, D30, which is Triushansh, we study for severe, we study for the role of moon. We study it as a higher octave of the sixth house, the D30 chart, because diseases first begin in the mind or in the mind body, uh, let's say, complex, and then they percolate to the body at the level of the sixth house of the D1. Is this clear?
Okay, sir.
Is this clear? I mean, did you understand what I just said?
Not 100%.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. Basically, should I go ahead or should I again repeat what I?
Yeah, yes. No, you can go ahead. Thank
Okay,
you.
so okay, right. Any other questions right now? Anybody else? Any other questions? Just we are getting into the case now. So the bottom line is without creating complications, this is a special dasha for special individuals who are born. So just to complete the conversation with Archana, the Panchottari Dasha, the D1, D12 thing I just told you is for individuals who are extremely devotional. So there is a case of an Odissi dancer, a lady who has dedicated her life to Odissi dance, for example. Complete her life is only about Odissi dance, the devotional part of Odissi dance, whole life. You will find this is the case which is explained in the book, a case of Panchottari Dasha. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Devotion. Somebody like a Mirabai possibly could have a Panchottari Dasha in her chart. Okay. Now going ahead. Yes. Now, by the way, welcome to Krishna. Krishna joined little later. Meenal madam is also with us. I am privileged to have my teacher also in the lecture. And of course, welcome Sneha, everybody else. Now,
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
yeah. Now, this is a case of online game addiction, media obsession, and violence to parents. Okay, a real case. So let me first give you the birth details, then I will also tell you about the history, and then we'll go into the actual Kundali. Birth details: 22nd May 2008, 23:55, Chandigarh. Okay, so as of now, the child is only a boy. Age is 16 years now, as of now. Okay. Now, let's look at the Panchang. And I want to spend a little time on the Panchang because we usually jump right into the Kundali. Let us spend time on the Panchang a little bit. We have Shukla Pratipada, Tithi Pratipada, Karan is Kaulav, Var is Mangalwar or Tuesday, Nakshatra Anuradha, and Yog is Shiv Yog. Overall, it appears decent. Shukla Pratipada is a waxing moon. Okay. And Kaulava Karan is a very transactional Karan. Now, so couple of things I want to just share with you about the Panchang. Some information which maybe some of you may not know. Tithi stands for the water element. Remember, Tithi is water element because it's a lunar Tithi. But the Karana inside the Tithi is the Prithvi element. So the Prithvi and the water element, how the Prithvi element holds the water element together is the concept of Tithi. Okay. Var is the Agni Tattva. Var. So here, look here, Tuesday, Var, a malefic, Mars, also Agni Tattva. As such, Var is Agni Tattva. So you have the Mars thing, telling you, I am here. Anuradha Nakshatra is Nakshatra of Saturn, of course. The Nakshatra is the Vayu Tattva. Correct? So what does it tell you? As such, Nakshatra stands for Vayu Tattva in Panchang. And here, in this case, it is Saturn Nakshatra, which is itself a Vayu Tattva Graha. Correct? So therefore, Saturn is also very important in this chart. We will come to that later. And there is so many things to discuss. And of course, Shiva Yoga. Shiva Yoga seems to be a good yoga. Okay. Now, what happened? I will tell you the history now. This person got introduced to online video gaming, PUBG, in December 2019, 4 years ago, at the age of 12 years. Okay. The parents of this child are very reputed people in their, wherever they stay, in place from Chandigarh. And the father encouraged the boy because he thought, "Dare, kuch online gaming kar raha hai, ye kar raha hai, wo kar raha hai," encouraged the boy. He got addicted to PUBG. The game addiction started big time. And he did some theft at home. It became very serious. So he actually stole some money from the parents at home to fund the gaming. So it was already very serious in May 2022. And we will see later that the astrological conditions change in this period. What started as a obsession with the video game initially, and love for the video game and an obsession, became an addiction. Okay, a serious addiction around 2022, in 3 years' time. There was a showdown with the parents. Parents gave him a thrashing in January 2023. This is the history they gave me later. Okay. Then what happened was that the boy started gaming like he was in 11th standard. He went into 11th standard in 2022, 23. His studies started being affected. He was a 90% plus in 10th standard 10th. His studies started getting affected in standard 11th. And he started spending 8 to 10 hours indoors in front of the screen, doing compulsive gaming and gambling and all that using PUBG. So his parents, he used to close the door and sit inside, and he would not open the door even if the parents banged the door. So the parents removed the locks of the door. Okay. And so he got very angry one day, and on 2nd of September, he always used to threaten his mother. Okay. But then he came and he threatened his father verbally, and then he hit his father with a hammer on 2nd of September 2024. Mark the date. This date is going to be important for us. We'll be looking at the gochar of this date also later on. Okay. And immediately the father ran away because, he was afraid. And finally, he called the police and all, and the police caught him. And right now he is undergoing psychiatric treatment, and he's staying away from family. He's not being allowed to come home. Parents consulted me on 11th of September through a reference. Okay. I told them within 2 days, I took two days to analyze, and I told them that please don't bring him home. He is very dangerous for you right now. He can even do violence. Even if he says sorry or whatever, don't bring him home. Okay, he's like a shatir dimag. He's like that kind of a person. And the same thing was confirmed by psychologists who were attending him 2-3 days later. So the parents called me saying that आपने जो बोला वही psychologist ने बोला. Okay, so this is the history. Any questions on the history right now before I go ahead? Anybody? Nandan, Krishna, Vishwanath, Sneha, Anshul.
Not as of now from my side, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I'm proceeding ahead now. Okay. Okay. Now, what will we be doing today? It's important to have a thought process in place before we go to the Kundali. I want to look at the Parashari analysis using D1, D9, D30, D60, essentially. A nakshatra analysis and a past life connection. Correct? Dwadashottari Dasha is applicable in totality, absolute totality. I'll explain to you how and why. Native fits the criterion. We are looking for some additional dashas such as Narayan Dasha, which is a Rashi Dasha, which is basically a Jaimini Dasha, and Yogini Dasha. Narayan Dasha and Vimshottari combinations, or Narayan Dasha and basically Nakshatra Dasha combinations are brilliant. At least in my own practice, I find them very evocative. The mind of the native and his operating psychology has to be probed deeply. The focus has to be on the moon. What kind of a mind is this? What kind of a mind is this which a 16-year-old boy will use a hammer on his father? A father who is doing everything for him. Okay, so is there psychopathic element involved? What is exactly behind his mind? And is he not having any discriminating faculty or logical thinking? So Mercury will have to be looked at also. We will look at, obviously, the relationship with parents has to be in focus. We will look at the fixed and the dynamic karakas, both. And then we look at how this thing actually evolved, which means the unfoldment of the karma, how it happened. Because of course, after all, it is a karmic unfoldment. So how did the interest in the online gaming develop? How and why did this change to serious addiction? And when? That also we know. Where does the criminality come from? If there is a criminality or a criminal thought process. And also, will this native reform or change for the better from the astrological prognostic perspective? So how does life look for this boy going ahead? How does life look for the people around him going ahead also? And finally, astrological remedies suggested for alleviation and practical advice to parents going ahead. Now, this person's father, this boy's father, is an atheist. I mean, not only he obviously does not believe in Jyotish, but he probably does not believe in God also. He's a high achieving individual, but he's an atheist type of a person, agnostic atheist. So even then I told them that, I'm just giving you some tendencies. You consider these as trends or tendencies, and you corroborate them with your doctors. Okay. But then his mother does believe a little bit. So some remedies perhaps she will do. Okay. Now, with this, I'm ready to go to the actual Kundali, because that's where the juice is. Okay. Do you see this? Do you see all this? I mean, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So this is the basic chart. We will then move it as we go ahead. Now, let's spend some time, some serious time on this chart, because this is the basis of everything else. Capricorn ascendant, Lord of the ascendant Lagnesh in 8th house. Okay. We will revisit this thing again and again in different ways, but right now the basics I will start talking. Okay. Now what you immediately see is, you see Rahu in the ascendant in the Dhanishta, which is a Mars nakshatra, right? And you immediately see opposite Ketu in 28 degrees 16 minutes of Ashlesha, which is Gandanta. Ketu is in Gandanta essentially. You have a Mars opposition to Rahu, Mars in Pushya, debilitated, of course. Ascendant nakshatra is Shravan, so moon. Moon, as you can see, is debilitated in Scorpio in the 11th house. Okay, with Gulik there. Moon is in Anuradha. Now, one sec. Why does this fit the bill of Dwadashottari? Let's come to that first, because that was the core thing. What is the Lagna? What is the Venus Navamaush? Capricorn. See D9. Venus is in Capricorn. It's the Lagnesh of the D9 in Capricorn, afflicted with Gulik. And what is the ascendant of the D1? Capricorn. Correct? So, Shukranshake Prajatasya Vichintya Dwadashottari. That's the shloka, that's the sutra. This is exactly what this means. And this and I'm giving a reference here of Pandit Sanjay Rath, because there is a book of Pandit Sanjay Rath called Vivshottari and Udu Dashas, from which these clarifications I have understood and I have studied and applied. Okay, so what this means is basically, it doesn't mean Venus in the Lagna of the D1 necessarily. It doesn't mean Venus in the Lagna of the D9 necessarily, but it can mean as a special case. For example, if it is a Taurus ascendant, say in D1, and in the D9 you have Venus in Taurus, correct? Or even Venus in Taurus ascendant in D9, it's Vargottam ascendant. Then also it fits the bill as a special case. But basically, like you see here, the Venus Navamaunsha is Capricorn. You have Capricorn in the Lagna. Okay, so is that clear? The criterion is the criterion established for you, all of you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let's proceed. Moon is in Anuradha. Now, if you count from Anuradha to Revati, it is 11 nakshatras. 11. Correct? Including Anuradha as 1. So if you count, you'll realize it's 11, right? So divided by 8, you get 3. Which is the starting dasha at birth? Ketu. This is the same order of dashas. Remember the order? Let me just show you the order here, which we already have seen. So what does it say here? It says here Ketu, Mercury, Rahu, Mars, right? Let's just see here. What did we say? Ketu, Mercury, Rahu, Mars here. Correct? So it will follow the same order, which I earlier told you. Exactly the same order. Okay. Now, so Ketu's Dasha starting at birth. Interesting to note, Rahu Dasha in 2023 started in Dwadashottari. Okay, we'll come to that later. Now, Moon is in Anuradha. Now, Venus, Sun are almost conjunct in Kritika. Venus and Sun in Kritika and Venus in Taurus, own house in the 5th house, with Mercury in the Mars Nakshatra Mrugashirsha, Venus and Sun in the Sun Nakshatra. Okay. So these are the essential basics. Jupiter is Atmaka actually. So I'll come to the Karak system and connect later, but Jupiter is in the 12th house in its Mula Trikon sign, but in the 12th house. And you find that Jupiter is Vargottam in D9 also, again in the 12th house. Again, in the 8th house in Mula Trikon. Okay. Now, Atma Karak. Now let's look at the Jaimini Karakas and then connect them back and forth. You have Jupiter is the Atma Karak, which is in its Mula Trikon. It is retrograde and it's not in a good placement. You will find Jupiter placement throughout not so good. Okay, if you see the other divisional charts also, you will find Jupiter is afflicted in that sense. So it's like as an Atma Karak, as a soul's purpose graha, it's a misplaced soul's purpose kind of a interpretation. One way of looking at it. Okay. Now Mercury is the Amatya Karak. Okay. Mercury here in the D1 appears to be in good shape. Okay. You will find that since it is with Venus and Sun, generally Buddha Aditya Yoga type of situation, although of course the separation is 20 degrees here between Sun and Mercury, but nevertheless the same house with Venus and Mercury also being friends, let's say. But Mercury is extremely badly affected if you see going down. Okay. Uh, now let's go to the D9 chart quickly. You find Venus is with Gulick, Jupiter in the 8th house, Mars is with Neptune. So Mars in the D1 is debilitated, Mars in the D7 is in detriment. So the terminology is debilitation, exaltation, and detriment and dignity. Remember that. So Mars in first house is, we call it own house, surely, but it is in dignity. Mars in Libra is detriment. That's the terminology. Now Bhratru Karak. Now let's look at the Karakas here. See, Bhratru Karak is the moon here. Now Bhratru Karak is also kind of connected with Sahas, third house. Bhratru Karak is also the looking at the 9th house of the Bhagya. See, Jaimini has given 8 Karaka system, including Rahu. We have to use Rahu as a Jaimini Karak. There is a debate there, or there is a difference of opinion there. Some people say use 7 Karakas for Jaimini. Pandit Sanjay Rath, who has basically done extensive work with the Upadeshras of Jaimini, as per his interpretation, Jaimini Rishi says use 8 Karakas. Okay, Ketu is not to be used as a Karaka. Okay, because Ketu is already a Moksha Graha. The Karakas are showing craving. So the logic is Karakas show craving, Ketu shows disconnect. So therefore Ketu is not used. Rahu is extremely important as a Karaka, because I have seen cases of people close to me with Rahu as the Atma Karak, and they completely fit the bill. Okay, so therefore 8 Karaka system. Now in the 8 Karaka system, there are 2 Karakas given to the 5th house. Okay, Pitru and Pitru, there are 2 for the 5th house. So you have Atma Karak, Amatya, Bhratru, Matru, and Pitru and Putra, which is the 5th house, then Nyati and Dara Karak. Now here you find that the Bhratru Karak is moon, which is also looking at the 9th house, which means it is also looking at Bhagya. So let's say the right side of the Kundali is the reflection of the left side. So each Karaka, the Bhratru Karaka is the Bhagya Karaka also that way. So, right? Now, Matru Karaka is Mercury. Matru Karaka is Mercury, mark you. He was born on Mars. Mars is debilitated. Okay. And Mars also happens to be the Chaturthesh here and the Ekadashesh or the Labhesh. Okay. So Mars indicates violence at home or violent temperaments at home. Mars also indicates a kind of a fertile ground for violence, anger, wrong decisions in the network, friend network, or in the colleague network, which is the 11th house, right? Because moon is also there, which is debilitated. Now, when you go to the D9, you see moon is Vargottam again, debilitated again. So moon is repeatedly debilitated. You see Rahu is in a great position, relatively. Rahu and Venus are in good positions in the Trikona. So here you start getting the first indications of this personality, if I may say so. Mars with Neptune. Neptune is a problematic graha. We usually don't look at Neptune, but in Neo-Vedic, so traditional thing will not look at Neptune, but we certainly consider Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus in some way. Neptune is responsible for a lot of mental illness. Neptune is actually synonymous with Varuna in the Vedic system. Varuna. Now remember, Varuna is the deity of the nakshatra Shatabhishak. And in the Vedic story, in the Vedic narrative, Varuna basically governed heaven and the earth and everything in between. Early, it was all one in the Vedic poetry. If you go to the Rig Veda, the initial 10 sutras of the Rig Veda speak of Varuna. Varuna is like the Thanos of the cosmos. You understand Thanos? Like the absolute overlord. And then there was a separation of the waters and the earth and everything slowly. So Prithvi and basically so Parjanya and everything came into picture, and then you have the other nakshatras. So that's a separate discussion altogether, but basically Neptune is very important. Okay, now Pitru Karak is Saturn. Now father, you see, also is Saturn is basically the Lagnesh in the 8th house. Okay, and Amatya Karak basically is also, I mean, so Mercury, Saturn, there is a connection here from the 2nd to the 8th here. Okay. Now, let me show you some other charts in terms of okay. So this particular thing now. Now, if you see here, the D30 chart. You see Mercury, Ketu, Rahu, afflicted. Jupiter again in the 8th house. Okay, so you see that moon is in the Lagna here. You see it's all watery signs. If you see D3, now D3, D3, I'll look at D3 as in Parashari D3. D3 Dreshkan Parashari. Parashari D3. Okay. Moon with Ketu, watery sign. Mars is very strong here. Venus is opposite Mars. You see the Venus-Mars connect thing here. Rahu again is powerful. Mercury also is powerful. Venus in the Lagna. So you see the symbolism here of Mars, the moon part, moon with Ketu, and particularly the Mars-Venus connectivity. Now, there is a chart called the Jagannath Dreshkan, the D3 Jagannath. Now, do you want me to tell you about that? Because that has to do with Karma Phala. Do you want me to tell you about that briefly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, see, how is the normal Dreshkan calculated? It is the trikon, right? So supposing, let's say, somebody has got Mercury in 13 degrees, say in Taurus. Okay. So which Dreshkan will it be in D3? It is the second Dreshkan of Taurus, no? 1 to 10 is first, 10 to 20 is second,
Yes.
20 to 30 is third. So second Dreshkan of Taurus is what?
Rishabh.
No, not
Gemini.
Vrishab. Not Vrishab. First is Vrishab. Of
Gemini.
Taurus.
Yeah. First is Rishabh. Kanya.
Kanya, correct. Kanya. So here in this case, Mercury is in Kanya Dreshkan.
Yes.
Correct. Now, in case of Jagannath, the Dreshkan is always Chara Sthira Dviswabhav. Always. Okay. So Taurus in Taurus, the first Dreshkan in Jagannath is Chara, Capricorn. The second is Taurus, Sthira. Third is Dviswabhav, which is Kanya. Are you following? So, as per Jagannath Dreshkan, Mercury will be in Taurus, not in Kanya. Now, what is the significance of Jagannath? Jagannath Dreshkan is used for karma phala, past life connectivity. It is commonly used along with D60.
Okay.
Okay. So, here if you look at Jagannath Dreshkan, you see Mars and Moon are together. You follow? There is a lot of anger here in this person's life from past life. You don't see that in D3 because there is no aspect of Mars and Moon also in D3. There is no fifth aspect of Mars or anything. There is nothing like that. You just see that Moon is having with Ketu and all, but you can't make out. But here you see directly Mars and Moon are together. Also, what do you see? Mercury, Rahu together. Follow? Mercury is afflicted with Rahu badly. You see Jupiter again in the 8th house. Jupiter in the 8th house here. Jupiter in the 8th house in D9. See here. Do you see Jupiter in the 8th house in D30? Are you following?
Yes.
Jupiter is the Atma Karak of this Kundali. Remember,
Yes.
Jupiter is in the 12th house in D1.
Yes.
Okay. In D45, which is the father's chart, Jupiter is in the 6th house.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in all, Jupiter is not very well placed. Okay. Except in the D10, where it is very well placed. And D60 also, it seems to be good. Reasonably okay. Okay. Now, I'm going back to the discussion part. So let's look at planet by planet. Okay, so D60 now. Let's look at basically his discrimination, which is the mind, which is Mercury. You see D60 Mercury Rahu connection. Okay. Then you see it in, like I said, in D30, you see Mercury Ketu Rahu connection. In D9, Mercury seems to be reasonably well placed. In fact, with the aspect of Jupiter also. Okay. One second. So this is the broadly the thing. Now I'm going back to the slide just for you. Now one more thing. Have you heard of the central planet of past life? Anurakta Graha.
No, sir.
Okay, so this is this concept basically has been discovered or has been studied extensively by our own president of ICAS, Aryabhushan Shuklaji, our Guruji. So he conducts lectures for post Visharad students. For post Visharad, he conducts some courses. So I was part of some of those courses. He speaks of a concept of Anurakta Graha, which is a central planet of past life, which is not the same as Rahu Ketu. Rahu Ketu axis it does indicate uh, karmic lessons pertaining to Rahu Ketu for sure, but central planet of past life is very significant in terms of it has actually an agenda to play. It is almost like the Dwadashottari concept. It comes from a earlier agenda. Okay. Now here, how do you calculate the CPPL? The calculation is very simple. From the moon nakshatra, you go to the sixth moon nakshatra from your birth moon from your moon nakshatra. You go to the sixth nakshatra, and the lord of that. For example, here it is Anuradha, right? So if you count forward from Anuradha, what do you see? You say Saturn, Mercury, Ketu, Sun, and so Saturn, Mercury,
Shravan.
Ketu, Venus, Sun, and Moon. Correct? Sixth is Moon. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So CPPL here is Moon. So again, central planet of past life is Moon. Moon is debilitated in so many different places. In fact, if you just simply look at only Moon now, just look at Moon in all this. D1, you see Moon here. D9, Moon is in again debilitation. D3, Moon is in D3. Where is the Moon? Moon is not in debilitation, but Moon is with Ketu. So affected, bad is kind of affected. In D3, Jagannath, it is with Mars and Moon together. Again debilitated. So this is very severe. This is very severe Moon. It is on fire. This Moon is on fire here. MAMO in Jagannath. In D10, you find again Moon is Vargottam in D10 also. Again debilitated. Correct? So you see Moon is clearly afflicted, badly afflicted. Again in D30, it is in the Lagna. It is in the Lagna, but the Lagnesh is in the 8th house. Correct? And it is having a direct aspect of Sun and Mars from the 7th house directly. Correct? As well as the aspect, it has an aspect also from Rahu. Okay, because Rahu has an aspect. Correct? So it very badly affected Moon. So therefore, Moon is the planet we are concerned about very much. Now I'm going back to the sort of slide. Correct. Now, so this becomes somewhat contextual now. Physical violence with father, all that. Now let's see. Now here, as I said, D1 ascendant is Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn now moves with Gulik. That fits the criterion. I'm just going over it now here through the slide. Moon in Scorpio is debilitated in H11 of D1. Moon Vargottam in D9. Jupiter is malefic for Capricorn ascendant. Certainly, right? Which is an important point to cover because it is the 12th lord and the 3rd lord. Right? Jupiter is malefic. So, functional malefic in a sense, in a way, is also the Atmakarak. In D30, Jupiter is Rashi dispositor of Moon and in H8 in Libra, like I already spoke about. Mercury Rahu conjunction in the D60, which shows compulsive gambling traits from past life. Okay. And in fact, what the story, what the history this man gave me is that his son told him that daddy ये सब आप क्या करते हो, business ये सब बड़ा बड़ा ये, you give me money, हम ये we will do this online gaming, बहुत पैसा है इसमें. Okay, so and basically he was gambling and he was losing money and then he was stealing from his at the age of 16, huh? At the age of 14 he started this whole addiction. Now you must certainly we must certainly appreciate one thing. At the age of 16, if there are so strong traits, characteristics, predispositions, tendencies, predilections, whatever you want to call them, for this sort of extreme behavior, this is not normal. This does not come from a normal kind of a planetary thing. It has to be beyond this lifetime. One sec, sorry, I think I. Oh. Let me just, I think, share again. Sorry. Yeah. Now, Venus-Mars conjunction in D60 indicates obsession with sexuality. Did you see that? Did you see that part? Perhaps you did not. Let me just show you again. देखो यहाँ पे. Venus-Mars together is obsession with sexuality also, because his father gave the history that perhaps he's looking at digital porn and all that later on, because he's 16, right? So he's already now in that age of whatever you call it. So, and Venus in Taurus in D1 in H5 indicates pleasure focus. That's very clear. In D1, see, Venus is also Raja Yoga Karak, which is a tricky thing here. Venus is Raja Yoga Karak for Capricorn ascendant, Saturn ascendant, and it's in the 5th house. So it actually, like we say at a superficial glance, it appears all well. In fact, this person seems to be enjoying his life and very lucky and all. But it's a case of extreme Venus affliction. And since the Venus is RYK for Capricorn ascendant, the maleficity of Venus is likely to affect others more adversely. This person is like Mast Mola. You follow? He's not affected. He's creating troubles for others. Even today, he is living in the hospital. He's not living at home. The parents have put him in the hospital only. He goes to college from hospital. He comes there, back to hospital. He is under treatment. He goes to tuition also from hospital. He gets his tiffin from home. Even now, he tells his mother कि क्या पिताजी को समझ में नहीं आता है ऐसे वैसे, so he's unrepentant. Now, this is a very important part. The focus on sensuality, Venus. Venus is conjunct Sun in Taurus in H5. D9 में Venus is in Lagnesh in Capricorn, conjunct Gulick, with aspect of Mars actually. That we did not see, but it's there. There is aspect of Mars in D9 also. Correct? See here. That to an aspect of a Mars which is already in trouble, detriment, already sort of infused with Neptune, polluted or corrupted with Neptune and aspecting Venus in Gulick. So that part is very much to be appreciated. Then you have Venus in H8 in D40 with Rahu Ketu with aspect of Mars. So in D40 and D45, we will now look at the Jaimini Matrukarak and the Jaimini Pitrukarak. Correct? And in D60, like I said, Venus is Lagnesh and Mars is malefic. H7 and H12 Lord actually. And Mercury Rahu in H5, which supports Venus related perversion. So let's just look at the D40, D45 and D60 only again with a little bit more deeper attention. Okay, now one second. Now D40 is the mother's matrilineal karma. Okay, it is the matrilineal karma. So how it is the matrilineal karma? Let me explain. You divide 40 by 12. 12 3s are 36. What remains is 4. 4 is the 4th house, the mother's house. Follow? So therefore it is matrilineal karma. So here you have to look at the Naisargik Matrukarak, which is the moon. which is debilitated and affected throughout. So this boy has a specific karma with his mother, clearly, because of the moon affliction, plus the Mars, which you saw in Jagannath Rishkan, is afflicted. Correct? Now, you see here D40, Mars is exalted, Lagnesh exalted, okay, which is aspecting the Lagna. And also if you see, the Jaimini aspect of Mars is on Venus Rahu Ketu, Chara Sthira. Correct? So, in a sense, the Mars here becomes a malefic. And just look at the Shadbal below. Can you look at the Shadbal below? Mars 1.56. Look at Venus 1.77. Have you seen a shadow? Have you seen a Venus like this anytime? I don't know. This is the highest Shadbal I've seen of Venus in any chart so far. Has anybody of you seen anybody with a Shadbal like this in Venus so far?
No,
Anybody?
sir. No, sir.
I doubt. It will be very hard to come by. So here you can see clearly why the answer to Aparna's question, Archana's question, sorry, about the special nature of this case. So here you see the Mars part, and here what is happening to the moon? The moon is with Neptune. Moon aspected by Mars again. In moon is that also moon is in Aries. Okay.
Sir, the
So
highest I have seen is 1.75 Venus.
1.75 is it?
Yeah.
I
Highest.
see. Wow.
Yeah.
But but I mean, that's right. It's still rare, right? I mean, very rare. Even 1.75 is so rare.
Absolutely, sir.
Here, this case, I mean, this is like you see this throughout. For example, I remember another chart, not perhaps a Dwadashottari Dasha, but a Venus chart through and through. Angelina Jolie. So I have made a video of Angelina Jolie on my YouTube channel. If you want to look, you can have a look. Long ago, I made it, about 3 years ago. Angelina Jolie has got Venus everywhere. She has got Venus in Lagna, Venus in Lagna, Venus in Lagna in almost 6-7 divisional charts. And mostly Venus in Libra, Venus in Taurus, that kind of a thing. And no wonder. And she had reproductive cancer also, if you know. I mean, so she did a bilateral, she had her uterus removed and her bilateral mastectomy done, and prophylactic mastectomy done, because she was a fitting candidate for breast cancer. She was carrying the BRCA1, BRCA2 gene also. So that's a separate discussion altogether. But I'm just saying that you see, and also see there is an aspect here in psychology. If you go deeper in this case, because I'm a doctor, I can appreciate some of these things. There is something called as a Oedipus complex. Do you know what is the Oedipus complex? And the Electra complex. So Sigmund Freud, have you heard of Sigmund Freud? Some of you?
Yes.
Sigmund
Yes,
Freud?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Sigmund Freud was basically a very famous psychoanalyst, a psychiatrist, whatever you call it. And he has done work in child sexuality, a lot of work in child sexuality. Okay. And he speaks of an Oedipus complex in which the first exposure to the opposite sex for a boy is through his mother. Okay. And he outgrows that. As he grows up, he is doing breastfeeding, whatever it is, and then he grows up, and then he outgrows that access, and then he goes in the outside world, and he finds friends, he gets girlfriends or whatever, he marries eventually, whatever happens. So he overcomes that part. But sometimes there is a problem in that the child gets fixated on something. Okay. So it becomes Oedipus complex. So there is some level of, it's a psychoanalytical thing, but there is some level of, you can call it sexual fascination with the own mother. Not really overtly stated, but more like a subconscious tendency. Okay. Like a subconscious tendency. Okay. It's called the Oedipus complex. So I suspect this is also perhaps the case of Oedipus complex. I have not told this to the parents because they will be scandalized if I mean, and it is again not very much open. It is more internal. Even the child doesn't know about it. Then the aggression is because there is some level of aggression which is fueled by that, perhaps. Anyway, so you see the problem here in this chart. And you see, otherwise it seems to be good because you have Jupiter, Venus opposite each other. Again, Venus is affected badly in this chart also. You have Venus, Rahu, Ketu. And you see, Venus is Dara Karaka. Important, I forgot to mention, and nobody noticed it also. Venus is Dara Karaka. What is Dara Karaka? What is the difference between Dara Karaka and Saptamesh? Seventh house is Lord of seventh house is also partner, right? What is the difference between that and Dara Karak concept? Anybody can tell me? Can anybody tell me? Any guesses?
So, sir, guess would be when we talk about Saptamesh, it is not necessary that it is only a wife, but Darakaraka is largely a wife.
Correct. Correct. So Dara Karaka is wife, or more accurately, actual sexual companion. Okay, that is a more accurate thing.
Right,
So
sir. Right, sir.
even in cultures where there is no marriage, there are cultures where there is live-in relationships or things like that. So then in that case, that also becomes the Dara Karak, a committed relationship, you can say, call it, but wife, mostly like wife. And the seventh house lord, as like Anshul said, it indicates partnership and all. So here you see that the Dara Karak also is affected badly in the D40 chart. Okay. And in fact, affliction of Venus is affliction of Dara Karak only, all throughout. Correct. So this is the D40 chart for you. Let's look at D45. Now D45 is the chart of the patrilineal karma. How so? If you divide 45 by 12, you get a remainder of 9. 12, 3 is the 36, plus 9 is 45. 9 is the ninth house. Ninth house is the father's house or the guru's house, traditionally. Right? So father's house in this context. Now, here you find Mars, Venus in the D9, in the ninth house of the D45. Correct? Mars, Venus debilitated with Mars. This is the affliction of, you see that problem here clearly, very clearly. And you also see Sun is afflicted with Gulik. You see, Sun is the Pitru Karak, no, Naisargik. So Sun affliction is there, and Saturn is the Pitru Karak, Jaimini Pitru Karak. Saturn is aspecting the ninth house. Correct?
So as well as it is aspecting the sun also.
Saturn is aspecting the sun also. No, Saturn is not aspecting the sun. Saturn is aspecting the moon.
Ninth.
Yeah, 10th drushti of the Saturn is on the moon. Saturn is also aspecting the Mars and the Venus here. Correct? I'm talking of the Parashari aspects right now. So the Saturn Sun part is clear. It is depressing to him. The father, talking with the father becomes, it's a confusing thing. Initially, the father encouraged the gaming. So you see the third drushti there, and son thought that the father is like me, father is with me, let's enjoy. Something like that, psychologically. But later on, he realized that father is creating depression. The 10th house is the operational drushti in a way. It's creating depression. The sun independently here is with Gulik. Also, that is also a problem here. Correct? So this you see in the D45 chart. Right? Correct. So this is what perhaps I was referring to in the slide. And now let's look at the Jaimini relationships here. Now, in terms of the Jaimini relationship, you have Saturn aspecting Mercury. Okay, you have Saturn aspecting the Sun also. Correct, but not through Parashari, through the Jaimini aspect. Correct. You have Jupiter aspecting the Mars, Venus also. So which is why somewhere he has hope, because Jupiter is aspecting. Jupiter is aspecting. It is, although Jupiter is Atmakarak, it is also Mula Trikon in a way, but in the wrong place. If this Venus affliction was not so severe, this person could get into meditation and could perhaps get into those slightly altered space. But that is perhaps not to be. Okay, so this is what it is. Now, yeah. So this is clear, right?
Sir, how is he on the health front?
Health front.
Yeah,
He seems
because
he
his
seems
Lagnesh is in 8th house.
yes.
Also, Jupiter in Vyasthan indicates hospitalization. It's a Marak for Makar Lagna.
Correct. But the thing is, it is in its own house. That is one.
Yes,
It is in its own house. That is one.
yes,
Um, uh, but certainly, I mean, health-wise, he seems to be good. But problem is, see, one aspect is Rahu in the Lagna gives a lot of energy, physical energy.
right.
Okay, and Rahu that too in a Mars nakshatra, so
Hmm.
gives a lot of physical energy. So that is one part. So at the moment he's very young, he's having a lot of physical energy. But eventually this Rahu can become poisonous for him. So
Mhm.
this could perhaps lead to some infections later on, or maybe even cancer in the going ahead. See,
Hmm.
we have not done analysis of this from medical astrology perspective. If you look at it medical astrologically, you see sixth lord is Mercury.
Hmm.
Okay. You see, the again Mars is the 11th lord,
Hmm.
correct? So
Hmm.
Mars is in debilitation.
Hmm.
That's not a good sign at all from the health perspective. The 11th lord, which is a Roga lord in a way,
Hmm.
Bhava Tapam of the sixth, in debilitation, aspecting the Lagna in the
Hmm.
Rahu Ketu axis. So high chances of perhaps blood pressure,
Hmm.
um, even getting into fights with people, those kinds of things.
Hmm.
And particularly, and Mars will be in which um, Mars will be in the same Dreshkan only.
Hmm.
Mars will be in the Dreshkan also. It is in debilitation. You know,
Hmm.
it will be in Cancer Dreshkan only. No, it's sorry. It will be in the second Dreshkan. So if you see Cancer, then
Shik-
uh, basically it will be what Scorpio.
Scorpio, Rishik.
It will be Scorpio Dreshkan. So Scorpio Dreshkan also is not good. Makes him angry and all. So if you
Hmm.
see the Dreshkan analysis,
Hmm.
Mars is in Scorpio Dreshkan, again looking at the Lagna. You see?
Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
So there is a problem of the whole Mars aspecting the Lagna will create a physical situation for him.
Yeah.
Mercury with Rahu and all. So I am coming to some issues later. There's some advanced slides.
Okay.
Just hold your horses.
Yes.
Some answers you will get there. Now, so this part is clear, right? Now, what I suggest is it's 9:08. I suggest a 5-minute break. Okay. Um, we are now, after this, we are going to be talking about the dashas and everything and certain additional things. So it's 9:09 now, or let's say 9:10 for sake of approximation. At 9:15 exactly, we can again congregate. Is that okay for you?
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's take a 5-minute break. Okay. See you. Are you back? Is everybody there?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Great, great, wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, right.
Yes, sir.
So let's go back. So this we sort of covered, right? Now, let's look at the Dasha analysis from the timelines of key incidents. Okay, so I will actually show this to you on the slide on the actual Kundli also. But the first incident, the first thing was introduction to the PUBG game. Roughly this happened in December 2019. So how this happened? What would have happened to so that this karma came into existence, right? It kind of unfolded, it first manifested. So that is the first incident. Let's look at it in the Kundli, then we go to the further incidents. December 2019, introduction to the game. Okay. Now, here, if you go here, you have the Mercury Dasha going on. Mercury, remember, is the Amatya Karak. The Amatya Karak's Dasha, he wanted to do something desperately. Like, like very excited to do something, right? So, perhaps has been a very curious child from early age because Mercury Dasha immediately started after Ketu. So, if you go to Mercury, Mercury moon was going on, interestingly. Amatya Karak and Bhratru Karak, and moon is afflicted, CPPL, debilitated, all that you know now. Mercury moon, both troublesome. So this the malady started slowly around this time. You know, you can say it started growing, and if you dig deeper, Mercury moon Rahu. No surprises, right? Mercury moon Rahu Pratyantar Dasha. No
Right.
surprise. When the Rahu Pratyantar Dasha came into existence, you find that the actual karma came into picture. Correct? Now, which also gives me, which makes me curious. Where was Rahu in Gochar that time in December 2019? So if I look at now, where was Rahu? Rahu was in the 6th house, Vayu Tattva, in a
Exalted.
exalted, exactly, exalted. So he was in full form. मतलब वो मैं क्या करूं मैं क्या नहीं करूं, what can I not do? And you notice the whole lot of planets in the 12th house, Gochar. Now, of course, here Sun would change every month, but Jupiter was certainly in the 12th house. Ketu was in the 12th house and Saturn was in the 12th house, slow moving. And Venus in Lagna. Hello. So again, Venus in Lagna, Mars aspecting Venus. See, everything is fitting, right? Correct. So just out of curiosity, we'll go back to the main chart. So this is the first part. We saw Mercury moon was going on that time. Here. Let's see Narayana. What do you see in Narayana? Okay. Now Narayana Dasha is amazing. What is the difference between I'm telling you one essential difference now. You know perhaps some of you, but nevertheless. What is the difference between the actual Nakshatra Dasha and the Rashi Dasha? Apart from the fact that it is based on Nakshatra, Lord, and Rashi, apart from that, what is the actual difference in terms of how it impacts the native? So, the Nakshatra Dasha is how the mind of the native will respond to the circumstances. Please understand. This is the moon nakshatra. No, it is based on the moon nakshatra, any of these dashas. So it is about how the mind of the native will respond to circumstances. So it will respond to circumstances adversely, positively, shockingly, whatever, or neutrally. indifferently, whatever it is. What is the Rashi Dasha? The Rashi Dasha, such as Narayana Dasha, talks of circumstances per se. Per se. Circumstances neutrally outside. The person may or may not be affected. Depends on that affectation, depends on the, you see, that depends on the actual moon nakshatra. So it is like this, that I will give you example. At the battlefront, there are soldiers who are on the battlefront who are facing machine gun fire. And sometimes they lose their hand while they actually, the hand is gone and they are not experiencing any pain that time. Later on, they experience pain. So that time, the mind does not allow them to experience pain. So Narayan Dasha is like actual circumstances. So the combination of both of them is a great tool to understand how a native will actually respond. Correct? Now here, if you see the Narayan Dasha, it was Virgo Scorpio. Okay, Virgo, you see Mercury, no coincidence here. Mercury in Dwadashottari was there, he's Virgo here. This person was imagining मैं कुछ बड़ा कर रहा हूँ. I have found something great. 9th house, कुछ तो मैं I am going to do something great. This was aspecting, this Virgo aspects 12th house, 3rd house, which is the house of Parakram, Purusharth, whatever you call it. Again, the house, also the natural house of the Mars also, 3rd house. 12th house, छुप के करना है, and also the 6th house, which is earning money, Dhana Trikon. So Virgo, and then Mercury, and Scorpio came into picture. Scorpio is what? 11th house, house of network, friends, PUBG, colleagues, whatever you call it. Aspecting what? 10, 1 and 4. So the aspect was on home, on the personality, on the entire ascendant, on the home, on the mother particularly. Mother started noticing this first. And on how this person was responding to the outside world. 7th house, Cancer. Shutting himself away from the outside world, all that slowly started, right? I mean, gradually. Because this part, I'm not going into a Pratyantar here because we don't know in December, perhaps which December, because it keeps on changing here. It is Virgo, Scorpio, Virgo, Scorpio, Leo, whatever. It could be Leo, perhaps, in which, let's say, Virgo, Scorpio, Leo. So Leo is the 8th house getting activated, no? So perhaps that is the time when it became severe. We don't know. Let's look at Yogini. Yogini Dasha is again a nakshatra-based Dasha. Now it is, I always use these three Dasha. I use Vivshottari, Yogini and Narayan. Now in this particular case, Vivshottari is replaced by Dwadashottari because it's a special criterion. Now Yogini, why Yogini? Yogini is of 36 years. So it's a shorter Dasha. In Vivshottari, in longer Dashas, we can't understand repetitive patterns. In Yogini, you understand what is the andar ka baat, because there is no one actor who is complicit in prosperity or disease or affliction or adversity. There are multiple actors. Okay, primary actor you see from one, but everybody is collaborating internally. So you see those collaborations very well in Yogini. So now let's see in Yogini what do you see? You see Saturn Dasha was ending. And which one? Saturn, Mercury. Correct? Saturn is Lagnesh, Pitru Karak. Again, it's a malefic. It's also the Dvitiyesh. Dvitiyesh is actually the resources with the family. What is the second house? It is the house of family resources, the Dhanasthana. It is what is with the family as a resource, the money part or whatever it is. Here it is also the father through the Jaimini interpretation. So you have the resources of the, so that part started Saturn, Mercury. He was still dependent on that. Then his Venus actually affliction took over in 2020. Here also, you see in Yogini also Venus. There are no surprises. God does not play dice. It is all connected. Okay. So here, if you see what happens here is, as you come to December, what happens? Just see here. All of December is Saturn, Mercury, Rahu. You see that? And here in Dwadashottari, it is Mercury, Moon, Rahu, Virgo, Scorpio, Leo. And here Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Mercury, Rahu. Saturn भी इधर है. Mercury here in Mars disposition, so it is in bad this thing. And Rahu is here, like we know. Virgo, Scorpio, Leo हो सकता है, so जो भी है. Again, Leo Lord is Sun is in the 12th house. Follow. So, is this part clear? I'm going to the next one now. Is this part clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, which Dwadashottari Dasha was operative at this time?
Yeah, we can certainly look at that. But and it see Dwadashottari also will throw some light,
Yes,
certainly. But Dwadashottari gives you bang on in this case.
absolutely.
So let's look at Dwadashottari. Since you have mentioned it, we should look at it. Also, I will tell you about some. I will tell you something about non-standard Dwadashottaris little later if we have time. And I intend to do a lecture on that sometime in the future, maybe. I don't know. So here, now, the Dwadashottari running that time, it was still Mercury only, Mahadasha. And it was Mercury moon. It was Mercury moon here. So similar. You follow?
Yeah.
Similar, but you can sort of distinguish it a little bit more. The Rahu element comes into picture. The Rahu as a disciple of Shukracharya comes into picture.
Right.
See, Rahu dispositor Mars debilitated with Pushya. Pushya dispositor is Saturn.
Yes.
Saturn in Ketu, Magha, and Ketu in Mercury. Mercury in Mars. You see, so the journey again comes to Mars again. In that sense. So that way, right? Because Mercury is in Mrugashira. So
Yeah.
coming back now to the next thing. Next incident. Game addiction. Which is this now here what happened was a behavioral alteration happened. He became addicted. Like somebody gets addicted to alcohol or drugs. That way. And this was May 2022 is what the parents told me roughly around that time. Let's look at this now, May 2022, and what really changed for him. We go back to Dwadashottari. May 2022, he was running Mercury Ketu. No, sorry, May would be earlier. So he was running Mercury Jupiter, Saturn. Okay, as per this, he was running Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn here. Now, Mercury part is very clear. Mercury, so his 6th house was activated. His 9th house was activated, as in, very generally speaking. Jupiter. Now, Jupiter here is the Atmakarak. So here now, Amatyakarak, Atmakarak. So he was thinking he's doing the right thing. See, kya hua? From this point onwards, 2021, September onwards, he started thinking he's doing the right thing. That these people don't understand, they are stupid. It's a great opportunity to make money. Father ko samajh mein kyun nahi aata hai? He was in that kind of a phase, is how I interpret it. And he went into that kind of a mode. And Saturn is the Pitru Karak. He was trying to still hope that, his father will kind of. So this was the phase when this happened. Then, see, this is finally an interpretation that I make or we make. Correct. See, Libra started. Can you notice something? Now here, idhar samajh mein nahi aata hai. Dwadashottari, it is okay. Mercury ka chal raha hai, Mercury, Jupiter. What happened in Narayan? See, circumstances change hota hai kaise dekho. Leo was there. Virgo, Mahadasha. 21st of May, what happened? Mahadasha changed. from, see what happened. Mercury to Libra, Mercury to Venus. Follow? The first circumstances started outside him. Venus Mahadasha started in, as in Libra Mahadasha started in Narayana. So 10th house got activated. He thought ये मेरा career है, मैं यही करने वाला हूं. And here see Yogini में क्या हुआ है? Venus has already started earlier. So which is why I am telling you, which I have told you some time ago, that multiple dasha systems you actually throw light. It shows you what has happened beneath the surface. Here you get the first indication of the Venus affliction from Yogini. Then you get it from Narayana. And then eventually here what happens, see, 2023 mein you get it here in Rahu. Matlab, the Asuri part of it you start seeing here. So in Venus, if you see Venus, this thing, kya hota hai? Venus Rahu. Am I surprised? Are we surprised? No. Look here, Venus Rahu Mars, May 2022, right? Venus Rahu Mars here. And here we see here what we saw here. We saw 22, right? Sorry. Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn. And here you see this. Correct? Now let's look at the Gochar part. As of let's say 30 May 2022. Okay. Roughly. So now we saw there it was Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, right? In Dwadashottari. So Mercury, Jupiter is in his own house. Mercury well placed actually, relatively. Jupiter is with Mars. Mercury, Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn kahan pe? Saturn is in the second house. Okay. So the idea was this person was making money out of it. Now properly addicted. Okay. Now of course we should, that 30 May is not sacrosanct. It is basically May. So this moon sun thing will keep on changing. But point to note is Rahu and Venus are in the same house here. And in Narayana, you see Libra, Libra, Libra. So this is getting affected. Na? This house is getting affected with Ketu there. Correct? So this was still I would say a slightly better time for him because planetary wise, at least he seems to be okay.
Sir, even at that time, probably his father would be supporting him, even in this.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think you are right because even the history is like that. See here, the Saturn is here in the second house. So father is saying, ठीक है बेटा देख ले, carefully कर, जो भी है. Sun is also in the fifth house for that month, let's say May. 15th May onward, at least Sun is in the fifth house. So Saturn Sun, of course, relationship is a little awkward here. जो भी है, Lagnesh and this thing, but you are right. So this was like a time when the father was saying, yaar, maybe I am wrong, let me support, let me see what. But game addiction started, behavioral alteration. This is more like a retrospect. Now they tell me. That time, if they had understood, they would have obviously intervened, no? Because they did not understand, obviously this situation came to. Then what happened was, in January 2023, he stole money, maybe a little earlier. Maybe, and then he got a thrashing. around that time. They don't recollect the date and all. So now let's look at what is happening. Jan 2023 is where we are now. As per Dwadashottari, still Mercury. Here, Mercury Ketu. Mercury Ketu Rahu. Okay. So here now the karmic axis comes into picture. Big time. Mercury Ketu Rahu. We already know Mercury has been afflicted with Rahu in several charts. Rahu is indicative of his craving, his passion, his kind of a crazy desire. And if you look at Narayana, of course Libra has started, and we are talking of Jan of 23. So Libra, Scorpio. Let's just look at Libra, Scorpio. Okay, I mean that gives you some idea initially. So Libra here. So obviously Libra is aspecting the second house, house of earning, the fifth house, and the eighth house. So speculation, gambling, affecting the resources of the family, the dhanasthana of the family, because this is the family's dhanasthana. Remember, second house is the dhanasthana. It is the resources of the individual. Fifth house is the gambling or the speculation part or whatever gaming part or things like that. And the eighth house is the house of quick, huge losses, lottery type of approach again, or even misfortune and everything. Eighth house. So these houses basically start getting activated with Libra in any case. So the moment Libra started, Narayana, you indicate that the circumstances are pushing him towards gambling, towards playing with family wealth, towards disaster, misfortune. Now, whether he will do it or not do it will depend on what? The quality of his moon and Mercury, which in this case is affected. Correct? So another case, maybe if this was a situation with Narayana, if the moon was stronger, it would have been different. Now Scorpio. Scorpio again, it is the same house which is and it affects, like I already said earlier, it is affecting the Jan 2023 part, the thrashing part. Thrashing also in the Scorpio part is also um, indicative of Mars, right? Venus Mars type of a thing. And here, if you go here now, here is Venus Rahu. And here you see Venus Rahu, Venus. Clear, right, Yogini? 12 December 2022 to 1st of April 23 is Venus Rahu, Venus. And it's a Dasha Sandhi. Can you appreciate that? Venus Rahu, Venus के बाद Venus Moon आता है. It's a Dasha Sandhi. It's called a Dasha Sandhi. That means the entire energy shifts immediately after April. So this was the transition period. Correct? So Venus is there here. You see Rahu here. You see Libra, Scorpio. You see Mercury, Ketu, Rahu here. Right? Let's go to Jan 23 and see what we find in Gochar. Dwadashottari is Mercury, Rahu, Jupiter. In this thing, it was Mercury, Rahu, Mercury, Ketu, Rahu, I think. Yeah. So here you see Mercury is in the 12th house, retrograde. Correct? So you have 6th Lord and 9th Lord in the 12th house. And one could even say that it is Viparit Raja Yoga or something, Viparit Yoga. But then looking at the condition of Mercury, I wouldn't come to that conclusion. Right? And you look at Libra and look at the second house is affected and fifth house is affected. Here is Saturn is entered here, just entered here, in fact. And because why he got a thrashing? Can you imagine? Because the Saturn has gone into now the family wealth space. So far it was okay, but now he has started playing with the money, stealing money. Correct? So if you see Yogini, it is what? Venus, Rahu, Venus. Venus is here. Rahu, where is Rahu? Rahu is in the fourth house. Correct? So fourth house indicates at home, no? Stealing from home. Fourth house is home. Again aspected by Saturn. See. So this father started noticing the fourth house में क्या गड़बड़ चल रहा है. Something like that. At the same time, the Saturn entering the second house also indicates that this gadbad happened. Gadbad happened also because after all, this is Saturn of this boy, not his father. He started stealing money, but then the father, as a Pitrukarak, noticed it at home. And with Rahu Gulik, there is a maleficity in the fourth house sitting there. Correct? So Libra, Scorpio, and then of course, Scorpio part, like I said, is affecting. Moon is in fact on this particular day, Moon is also in Scorpio, but of course that will change in January immediately. That will change. That's not this thing. Okay, so is this clear, this part? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now let's go to the current main thing, that is the physical violence to father. Yeah, because this is very interesting to see what happened on that day. Okay. And we'll look at the Gochar part of this also, because the next slide is the Gochar part of that. Specifically with the Gochar part is very important. Now on the 2nd September 2024, he did physical violence to father. So 2nd September, if you go now, recent thing. Now what has happened now, you see, Rahu Dasha has been established now in Dwadashottari clearly, very clearly. Which Dasha in Vimshottari, if I'm just curious? Still Mercury going on. Now see here you don't understand in Vimshottari what is happening. Are you able to appreciate? In Vimshottari, Mercury chal raha hai. Mercury, Rahu is going on, then Mercury, Jupiter will start. You see, इतना ही समझ में आता है. You feel it's only 2 years. The malady is much deeper, which you are appreciating in the Dwadashottari, because here the entire Dasha Lord changed. Rahu Dasha started. Correct? And it is Rahu.
हाँ नहीं उसमें क्या था कि उस समय इनसे कुछ बात हो रही थी, उसके तुरंत बाद मेरा क्लास था तो मैं भाग गया.
Hello?
हम्म.
Hello?
सॉरी
Anshul?
सर, सॉरी.
No problem. Okay. Okay. So now see here. Rahu Saturn चल रहा था द्वादशोत्तरी में. Okay. And if you see the September part, Rahu Saturn Moon चल रहा था. But if you go to deeper dashas, that is Sukshma Dasha. Moon Sukshma Dasha was going on, Saturn Pratyantar. Okay. So he was very emotional. He was anyway agitated. Moon, Saturn, father's pressure, and Rahu. Rahu being what? Nyati Karak. Do you notice this? Rahu is Nyati Karak. What is Nyati Karak? Roga Karak. Correct? And Nyati Karak is also 6th house Karak. What is 6th house? 6th house is also Dhanasthan. No, not a Dhanasthan. It is a Dhana Trikon house. No, it is connected to money making. No, it is the Dhana Trikon part of it. So it's about the 12th of the 7th. So in that sense, it was about making money also for him. And in Libra, and then you see here, यहाँ क्या हुआ? ही वॉज रनिंग लिब्रा कैप्रिकॉर्न। लिब्रा तो हमने ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हम, ठीक है। कैप्रिकॉर्न देखो अभी, कैप्रिकॉर्न is like Libra only. It is basically a kind of a Chara Rashi, but it will up 2, 5 and 8. Follow? 2, 5 and 8. So basically क्या है, ये period में you find that the 8th house is continuously being affected. You follow? 8th house is affected. And what is the 8th house? 12th of the 9th. So it is not a good thing for the father. Can you appreciate that part? Correct? Are you with me, guys?
Yes, sir.
And most importantly, क्या हो रहा है देखो, 1 सितंबर को क्या हो रहा है देखो, Libra, Capricorn, Leo. Capricorn is anyway aspecting Leo. Libra is aspecting Leo and Leo itself. Follow? And what is Leo? Leo stands for sun also. Therefore, father, as in that connotation, as well as Leo is the 8th house, 12th of the 9th house, which is basically a not a good house for the father, right? And कभी चालू हुआ ये 1st of September को हुआ, देखो exactly. दिस ये हादसा कभी हुआ?
2 तारीख।
2 सितंबर को हुआ।
जी सर।
और ये देखो यहाँ पे द्वादशोत्तरी में प्राण दशा कौन सी चल रही है? मून मार्स। तो यहाँ मार्स का इफेक्ट था, यहाँ लियो 8th हाउस का इफेक्ट है। और यहाँ पे आप जाओगे मतलब और डीप डीप में, तो यहाँ यू सी द राहु, वीनस, मार्स तो है ही, सैटर्न तो है। सैटर्न तो क्लियर कट है बिकॉज ये फादर का वायलेंस हुआ। राहु कम्स इनटू पिक्चर विच इज द पॉइजन और वॉट एवर यू कॉल इट। एंड इफ यू गो हियर, राहु मर्क्यूरी, इसमें एक एलिमेंट था, ही थॉट मैं डराऊंगा पिताजी को। There is aspect also, there is a manipulation there. Rahu Mercury, I'll scare him once. You follow? So this was the dasha on that day. Dasha type of situation on that day. Now dasha is not enough. There has to be gochar support also, naturally. So अगर हम अभी जाएंगे for gochar support, करेक्ट, अभी ये था, ये था। Now I will fine tune a little bit. This happened in the morning time, sometime, is what I was reported, around 11 a.m. or something. So we'll try to even monitor the hours here. I'm reducing the hours here from 12 now. It is now, let's say 11. ये time है, ये time है, ठीक है, roughly. जो भी है, doesn't matter much. But now what do you see here? 8th house, sun, moon. Already we saw Leo already in the dasha thing. Leo is highlighted here. 8th house again. 8th house, you have Amavasya Yoga. There was Krishna Amavasya going on that day. You follow? And Chatushpad वो सब चल रहा था। मतलब it was Krishna Amavasya, not necessarily, but Amavasya in the 8th house. That is one. Look at Venus. Venus is afflicted by Ketu, debilitated. Correct? Venus is Dara Karaka, debilitated. Mars aspecting Venus in Gochar also. Correct? Although Jupiter also aspect, that's a little bit why it stopped. That's the reason why it did not end too badly for the father. The father did not get much injured. It was more like a red line crossed. It was more like an alarm bell which was rung that day. But Jupiter is also his Atma member. So somewhere he did not want to harm his father, possibly. I don't know, at some level. Okay. You see the father looking, you see the Saturn looking at the 8th house. So you see the father looking from the family wealth to the eighth house losses in one way, and that is another way of looking at it. And you can look at also it like sun and moon looking at the father, like Amavasya situation, the father is in trouble, both ways. That way. Rahu in Pisces gives righteousness कि मैं कर रहा हूँ बराबर कर रहा हूँ, because oppositor is Jupiter is in the fifth house, Jupiter is Atma Karak. ठीक है. Mercury is what? Mercury is his Amatya Karak, seventh house. He thinks he's dealing with the situation well. Correct. And moon तो यहाँ पे है. Moon is so everything. So moon and sun are
Rahu is aspecting Mercury. That means बुद्धि भ्रष्ट हो गई उसकी क्या?
correct. बुद्धि भ्रष्ट हो गई उसकी. Correct. And good point. And also Rahu aspecting Mars through Jaimini Drushti. And Rahu aspecting Ketu Venus also. Mars aspecting Venus through two Drushtis. Through the Parashari fourth Drushti as well as the Jaimini Drushti. Okay. 3, 6, 9, 12. So Rahu, Mars, Venus is a cocktail here again. Correct. Likewise, Jupiter is aspecting Mercury also, thankfully. Thoda. You see, Rahu aspecting Mercury भ्रष्ट कर रहा है, लेकिन Jupiter भी Mercury को aspect कर रहा है, Gemini. Okay. So, and Jupiter aspecting Lagna, fortunately. So he was somewhat protected. I mean, it did not become like some kind of a bloodbath or some kind of a disaster. It stopped there. Now, on that day, Saturn has a bindu. You notice Kaksha mein bindu hai.
Sure.
And but of course, Bhinnashtak Varga is only 2. Okay. Now Mars has no bindu in the Kaksha that day, which is good, because otherwise it would have been probably more violence or something like that. Because Mars aspecting the ninth house is basically Mars aspecting the father, no? Violence to the father, no, in a way, directly. And also violence to self, because Mars is aspecting the Lagna from the 8th aspect. So Mars was not much powerful that day. As such, Bhinnashtak Varga score is only 2 for Gemini. But the Kaksha also was 0. Do you guys know how to look at the Sarva Chancha Chakra? Hello? Ashtak Varga.
No, sir.
There is a Sarva Chancha Chakra,
No.
which is unfortunately not. I mean, was it taught to you during your lectures?
No.
That is the problem. I don't know why it is not taught. See, I will quickly show you. Do you want me to show you right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's do one thing. Okay, दिखाता हूँ मैं, चलेगा. Okay, sorry. Reports. See, ये तो आपको मालूम है ना, भिन्नाष्टक वर्ग, all that.
Yes, sir.
This is the Sarva Chancha Chakra. Now, this chakra will give you entire all feedback, entire data of Ashtak Varga for an individual totally. ठीक है. But unfortunately ये क्यों नहीं बताते हैं, I don't know. ये थोड़ा tricky है, मतलब tricky नहीं है, but एक बार समझ में आ गया तो अच्छा है. There is this book of Ashtak Varga na, by this, what is this author? Vinay Aditya.
Yes, sir.
And the last page of that book, this chakra, how to read it is given. Okay, but I will explain to you. Now, see here, this is a chakra. You see the ascendant is Capricorn here, and it goes clockwise, no? It goes anti-clockwise, right? Capricorn, Aquarius, jo bhi hai, normal, like Kundli. Inside circle is the house is the bhavas, 1 to 12. The second circle is the actual rashis, which we know. The third chakra is the grahas. Okay, grahas, wherever there are grahas. Now, the fourth chakra is what is important. You see the figure there 30, 26 and all. This is the Samudaya Ashtak Varga or the Sarvashtak Varga score. Correct? Or that bhava. Right? Now, what is above that? Now, this you see this 4. I'm now looking at the ascendant Capricorn. You see 4, 3. Now I'm going anti-clockwise 4, 3, 3, 5, 7, 4, 4. What is that? These are the Bhinnashtak Varga score. Okay. These are the Bhinnashtak Varga score of starting from Sun. Sun, see Sun 4. Now you go with the weekday order. Sun 4, Moon 3, Mars 3, Mercury 5,
Okay.
Jupiter 7, Venus
4.
4, Saturn 4.
4. Okay.
This is how it is throughout. That is one. That is first input. Now we go to the outer circle. Now here you see kakshas. Here
Okay.
you see vertical rows, or rather columns, with Saturn on top, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, ascendant. These are the kakshas based on the speed of the planets, right? You are aware of that.
Yes, sir.
The slow moving Saturn and likewise. So that is
Yes.
the same kakshas everywhere. There are 8 kakshas. The last is the ascendant, because ascendant changes the fastest.
Fastest.
Okay. Now, the concentric circles inside the last one. So you have, if you see the circle now, you can see my cursor, no?
Yes, sir.
So this cursor is now on the outer circle, then the second circle, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. There are 7 circles here. Follow? 8 kakshas, but 7 circles here. Now, the outer one is Sun. Same order now as the weekday order. Sun.
Okay.
See, Sun is 4 here.
Yes.
You see 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
2, 4.
But
Okay.
not in all kakshas. It is in some kakshas only. Sun is having a bindu in Mars kaksha, in Sun's kaksha, in Mercury kaksha, and in Moon kaksha. That way. Then is Moon, 3 bindus. Then is Mars, 3 bindus. Okay. Then you find Mercury, 5 bindus. Correct. Then see Jupiter, 7 bindus. Now that means Atma Karaka is having 7 bindus in the ascendant in this case. So this boy is superbly confident. Usko kuch farak hi nahi padta hai. Then 4 bindus is what? Venus. Last 4. And then you have Saturn again, 4 bindus. Are you understanding how to read this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is it. That's it. Or kuch nahi hai. This is the how you read it everywhere. So if you go down, but you have to read it anti-clockwise. Remember.
Okay, sir.
This I don't know why they don't teach. But I am really, because ये इतना आसान है ये सब कुछ नहीं इसमें. Anyway. Okay, coming back. So here you see what is happening is Saturn has a bindu, but it is weak. Mars has no bindu, thankfully. Jupiter has a good bindu, remember. So Jupiter did not create more damage because of Jupiter. And Venus also has a bindu. Okay. Here, but positionally it is okay. And Venus is a problem, but Jupiter is controlling Venus somehow. Pata nahi. Again, Venus is Rajayoga Karak for this. So, because Venus is Rajayoga Karak, Venus will not harm this individual. It will harm others around him. You understand? It will not harm him ever. Mostly, more or less. Okay. So, is this part clear now?
Yes, sir.
Sir, इसमें just one point था.
Yeah.
Mars is in Jupiter kaksha and has
Right.
got 2 bindus from Jupiter. So is it good or bad actually? I don't understand that.
No. See,
Jupiter is not contributing to that kaksha. That's the main, and we have learned that if it is not contributing, it gives bad results. So is it Jupiter has been 1 point would have been better for him?
see,
Because
क्या
he is
है?
to the kaksha.
नहीं, see, नहीं. Look at it in a very situational way.
Okay, sir.
For this individual, Mars in the 6th house Mars is upachay. Mars in 6th house becomes strong. No, it becomes upachay.
Yes, sir.
Malefic in the 6th house it gets more energy. No. Now
Yes, sir.
here it getting more energy is not good for us.
Okay.
Because more energy means it will create violence.
Violence. Okay.
Overall, it will create violence to self,
Okay.
to everybody. So here it is it is it is sort of weak in a way.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
good that way. It's good. I mean, I look at
Okay.
it in that way. That's how I interpret it.
Okay, sir.
Because see, Venus वैसे भी strong है. अगर Mars उसके साथ जाता था, तो there could have been perhaps more attack. He may have attacked his mother also, for all you know.
Yes,
You
yes.
see, you see. So we don't know. So okay. Now after this, he was under psychiatric treatment. I spoke to his parents 2 times afterwards. Now the thing is, the Dwadashottari is going. The Rahu part is going on till 2026. So prognosis. Venus is Yogini is 2012 and Libra Narayana is till 2029. So if you look at the this part, sorry, where are we? Okay. So see, Rahu is going on till 2038 here. But doesn't mean that it will be bad necessarily, because the Rahu Venus part is the one which is actually bad. Rahu Venus to hoga hi nahi, because there is no Venus in Dwadashottari, right? We already know that.
Yes, sir.
So, but Rahu Mars will be particularly bad. You see, going ahead as a prognosis, Rahu Mars will be bad. Rahu Saturn also could be reasonably bad. I don't know. So, but Rahu Mars is certainly going to be bad. So he needs to be kept under observation. Here, if you see Narayana perspective, he is running Libra. Sorry, Libra till 2029. So, ये cyclical है, but basically this, and he needs to be channelized well. It doesn't mean कि उसको दबा के रखना है. He has to be channelized well in a manner that he doesn't harm his parents, and he becomes a little bit more responsible, I guess. Here Venus is going on till 2027, correct? In which, in fact, right now he's under Venus Mars actually as we speak in Yogini. So there is a capacity to do damage and all that. Then Venus Mercury, he will probably sweet talk himself out of the hospital next year. With Venus Mercury, what he will sweet talk himself. अच्छे से बात करके निकल जाएगा. I mean, he will do this. He will actually next year, perhaps he will राहु Mercury सब है ना, ये सब वो sweet talk करके निकल जाएगा. I feel. But you have to be careful. Correct? So this was my thing. Now I have got some more things to talk about. Now here, like I said, that day, I mean, we have the Gochar thing we already saw. Venus we saw, correlations we saw, everything. Rahu is in Uttar Bhadrapada, which is a Shani nakshatra that day also. And Venus is in debilitation and natal Rahu is in conjunct in Andan Ashlesha and Papa Kartari for H7. Did you notice that? Papa Kartari. Perhaps we didn't notice it. Papa Kartari for H7. Yes. See? H7 is the outside world. No? So he is like, anybody dealing with him is like, there's a Papa Kartari that day. So this was, and a Kaksha part we already saw. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So now, some more deep dive, thoda sa. Any quick questions at this stage? Anybody? Anything?
What is
Yeah, please.
so what is solution for all this? That is
Correct. I'm coming to that. There is a slide for this.
okay.
Remedial measures. Don't worry. I'm coming to that. Next, anybody? Some lady was speaking, I think.
Yeah, I was saying not a quick question, so maybe I'll ask later.
Okay, great. Please note down. Please note down and certainly ask. Okay, now, very interesting thing. Let's go to the Tithi Pravesh Kundali. Okay. and see what we find. Some very interesting things are there in the Tithi Pravesh Kundali. So, Tithi Pravesh would be for his 16th year. Okay, so actually I will tell you a few things. There is something called as a Tithi Ashtotari Dasha. Okay, which is not there in Parashar Light, unfortunately. It is called the Diamond Dasha, the treasure house Dasha of the Jyotish. It is called the Tithi Ashtotari Dasha. Uh, uh, I have understood how to, but you need a software to interpret it. I mean, obviously, it is related to Tithi, but we will do with what we have currently here. Okay. Now, on this day in Tithi Pravesh, so when this happened, so this happened in 2024 now, in September, no? So this month, this year, if you see, how is this year for him? Overall looks good actually. Moon still remains debilitated. See, now what is Tithi Pravesh? The same time when the birth Tithi he was born, same Tithi this year. You understand Tithi, no? Moon Tithi. Exact time of the moon Tithi when he was born. So his birth is 20 May 2008. This year on 24th May 2024, his 16th year he entered. As per Tithi Pravesh, you follow? Pravesh into the Tithi of birth. Like a Tithi birthday. Follow? Exact time and that too. So at that time there was, it's interesting, it is Vargottam. He's running the same Lagna as at the time of his birth. It could have been different, no? If the Tithi Pravesh was at, instead of 10:13, it was at 12:13 or 7 a.m. or whatever it is, it would have been different. But it is the same. Moon happens to be in debilitation again here. Mars, Rahu are together in the third house, which indicates the aggression also, the violent kind of a behavior also, but at the same time, fortunately, they are in a Upachaya Sthan. It also indicates possible danger to sibling. Are you appreciating? He has a younger brother who is about 10 years of age. And his parents have kept him separate from the brother because brother is at home. He could influence his brother. Correct? Now, you notice few things here. Mercury is in Bharani. Bharani is the Ugra Nakshatra. Huh? Point to note. Mercury is Amatya Karak. Moon is what? Moon is his Nyati Karak also. Moon is his CPPL also. Moon is in Jeshta, which is again a Ugra Nakshatra. Right? Bharani, Jeshta, Ugra Nakshatras. Bharani is Ugra, Jeshta is Tikshna, technically. But negative nakshatras in a sense. So there is this aspect of Moon Mercury affliction which is there. Jupiter, Venus, Sun in the 5th house. On the face of it look good. There is a Jupiter, Venus absolute conjunction within 1 degree of each other, less than a degree. But in Kritika, Sun in Kritika. So there is an enormous desire to enjoy. Can you appreciate that? 5th house. Enormous desire to enjoy. Matlab literally he wants to play game. He will play game 26 hours in a day if he could. Okay. And both Rahu and Mars are in Revati, which is again a Mercury nakshatra, Mercury in Bharani, which is a Venus nakshatra, Venus in Sun nakshatra. So this is the situation of this year, which means what is the indication for it? It means that he has to be kept away from gaming. Correct? And Mars is with Rahu, so Mars could be affected, mother could be affected. Saturn is in a better place. Father is the sane voice in the home family right now. The Saturn's aspect on the 3rd house is good. Is on the 4th house is good. The 3rd aspect is because it is stabilizing Mercury. Saturn aspect on the moon also is, I think, I would interpret it as stabilizing. Okay. These are the hidden factors also as a Tithi Pravesh. Now, if you look at the Tithi Pravesh there is a Tithi Pravesh Vivshottari, for example. I mean, as a part of the Tithi Pravesh unfoldment, there is a Vivshottari. But there is a Tithi Ashtottari Dasha, as I said, which the scope of which is beyond our discussion right now because Parashar light does not support it. Now, here you find that Mercury Dasha, and when this happened, what Dasha was running? When he did violence to his father? Venus. Follow? Can you see that? No wonder. And can you see this also here? 27th August 2024 to 5th of December, 5th of September 2024, it is Venus Rahu. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
So again, God does not play dice, is very clear. Venus Rahu, Venus on the 2nd of September. Venus is clear. Venus is on fire here in an enemy house, in an enemy Rashi, or rather in a non-friendly Rashi, in the Sun's Nakshatra. Own Rashi, but Sun's Nakshatra, sorry, conjunct with Sun. So this part you see clearly. Now we go back to the. Now there is one more interesting factor. Sorry. Just remember the moon degrees here. What are the moon degrees? 16 degrees 42. Okay.
Sir, Venus and Jupiter are combust here, no? That's
Yes,
pretty-
Venus is combust. Venus is
Jupiter
combust.
also combust.
Jupiter is can Jupiter be combust? I'm not so sure. I mean, it can be, but Jupiter and Sun are friends.
Okay.
You see, Jupiter and Sun are friends. They are Ghanishta friends. Sun is the king. Sun is the king, and Jupiter is the main priest of the king, of the royal cabinet. He is the chief priest of the royal cabinet. Sun, the king relies heavily on the chief priest of the royal cabinet. Okay. So about the Sun, Jupiter, I am not sure, but Sun, Venus, certainly. Venus is affected. No, I mean clearly. Now, remember the moon degrees here. There is a reason for it. 1642. Remember this figure. And birth chart, moon is 1330. Say 1640 to say 1330. Let's say, okay, whatever. Now I'm showing you some interesting additional data. Mrityu Bhag. Moon is in Mrityu Bhag. Moon is at 14 degrees in Mrityu Bhag. So it is at a distance of 29 minutes from Mrityu Bhag, less than a degree. So at the natal position of moon, 13 something, 14 degrees is the Mrityu Bhag position of moon. It is 1331 or something like that. So moon is very close to Mrityu Bhag. Okay. And in the Tithi Kundali also, this year it is very close to Mrityu Bhag. So what is my understanding? What does it mean? It means there is a tendency. I'm not so sure about this, but I would say 50-50 tendency of suicide tendency can develop in this child. Because moon is extremely affected throughout, that is clear. That having said, moon is also Shadbal strong. So it can act in the wrong direction. It can self-damage, self-inflict. 1.29 is a good Shadbala. And again, moon is severely afflicted throughout. You see, if you look at the moon again, D9, तो ये है. Look at D30 mainly. Moon is under the Sun and Mars thing. Huh. Moon Neptune, D16. Moon Neptune gives intuition actually also. Not necessarily bad, but here moon is, this thing. So it depends. So if I don't know, so if you look at little bit, very generally speaking, if you look at Vargas like this, or say if you look at all the Vargas like this, cross border, you find moon Neptune here, moon Uranus here, moon Ketu, moon Neptune, and many times, and moon is always in watery sign, Mars, moon, everywhere. So Um, so the possibility is that it could be moon in. So I'm coming to this slide now, which can you see the slide? Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So moon in so Tithi Pravesh. So moon in Murtyubhag in Scorpio is very close. So I don't know. I'm just saying they have to be careful because how to handle him this year. Tithi Pravesh Kundali 16 finding Dasha on the 2nd September is Venus Rahu Venus. Saturn in H8 in Tithi Pravesh Kundali. Mars Rahu conjunction in H9 in Revati. Okay. Like we said. Is it H9?
No, sir.
No,
It is
H3. There's a mistake there, I think, with the typo. Sun, Venus, Jupiter in H11. So actually, wo in the Tithi Pravesh, sorry.
H11.
ये I had not rotated perhaps that time. So if you rotate the chart,
Okay.
no,
Acha,
no, no, one minute.
ascendant
I,
it is.
I may have made a mistake. I made a
Ascendant,
mistake.
sir, ascendant is Kark, na?
No, Ascendant is Karka. Yeah, sorry.
So
My
from that,
mistake.
it is
No,
correct.
my mistake. Sorry. So sorry. So because I mean I rotated it to the Lagna of the D1, which is not correct because Tithi Pravesh at this time is actually Karka Lagna. So let's discuss this once again. The Dasha remains the same part, but you see the Lagnesh is Moon, which is in the 5th house debilitated. Mars Rahu Neptune in the 9th house and Saturn in the 8th house. Okay, so Ashtam Shani at Tithi Pravesh. And so the rest of it is similar, but this is the finding. Okay, so you find here the 8th house affected, 9th house affected mainly. Correct? 8th, 9th house affected. 10th house again, Mercury in 10th house in Bharani in Aries is indicative of his intent, what he wants to do this year actually. And by doing the 10th house ka bidding, what will he achieve? 11th house. This is the earning of the 10th house, not the second house of the 10th house. Dhanasthan of the 10th house. So he will earn money. Jupiter, Venus, earn money and respect. Sun. And self acceptability, Jupiter. Because Jupiter is Atmakarak. Okay. So my apologies for that. This thing. Now, moon in the watery sign is moon is throughout in watery sign. In D1, D3, Parashari D3, Jagannath D9, D30. CPPL is moon. And Shashtiyansh Devatas. Do you know what are Shashtiyansh Devatas? Any idea? So, divisional charts actually are a lot about Devatas. You see, there are 10 direction Devatas for Dashansh and all that. We don't get into all that because we either don't understand or we don't have time. Here, there are Devatas, there are Shashtiyansh deities. See here, Shashtiyansh deities. Which are the problematic Devatas here? Moon is demonical. See, Moon Rakshasa. M is malefic, B is benefic, by the way. So Moon is Rakshasa, demonical. Saturn is also demonical. And Mercury is Kantak. These are specific names. Kantaka means like a thorn. Mercury is a Kantak. Moon is Rakshas. And Saturn is also Rakshas. So if you look at this now, Moon Rakshas, this Mars is wrong. This has to be Mercury. Oh, this is Rakshas actually. It's my mistake. I must have mixed up with some other chart. And this is Mercury, which is again Rakshas. Mercury is Kantak, sorry. Saturn is राक्षस. ठीक है. So this part, is this clear? This much is clear.
Yes, sir.
Now we go to the golden question. The golden question of remedial approaches. Okay. So with your permission, I will need 15-20 minutes more from you. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Huh? Yeah, I'm just going to the bathroom. Give me a minute. I'll be back within a minute. I'm back. Okay. Now, you people there, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now basically, the next slide is about remedies. Now, before we go to the slide, I just want you to apply a little bit prior knowledge so that we are a little bit more oriented to what we see in the slide later. Firstly, his mind. Can we do anything for the moon? What can we do for his Mercury? Can behavioral counseling help? Any curses or any shraps from past life? Any particular deity to be appeased, maybe? Can we appeal to his higher soul purpose? I don't know. So different ways of looking at it, right? So I'm just giving you a way, kind of a quick. Now let's look at this slide and let's again go back to the Kundli suitably. Now, see, his Mars is affected clearly, his moon is affected, right? At one level, you look at it in that way. So one direction of looking, see, this is a very unique slide, I can tell you that, because nobody teaches remedies, how to look at remedies conceptually. Nobody teaches you. You have to develop your own approach of some kind. How does one approach a case like this? So this is my own original work, I can say, to some extent. I mean, I am certainly benefited by my reading, whatever little I've read and whatever more I've thought about it. So one is that we have to look at appeasing his Mars and Moon, correct? By spiritual healing of past life karma. So past life karma is D60 and D3 Jagannath, correct? So Mars and Moon, Mars with Narasimha and Moon with Lalita Gauri. Moon is Parvati, Lalita Gauri, the peaceful, pacifying form of the goddess. Mars is Narasimha. Okay, so there is a Narasimha mantra and all, you are aware of that perhaps. Ugram Viram, Mahavishnum, Jvalantam, Sarvatu Mukham, Narasimvam, Bhishanam Bhadram, Mrutyur Namamyaham. Okay, so for example, there are these mantras like that. There are Ugra devotional and Pratyangira Devi. you will have to read about it. I can tell you about. I can speak for next 5-10 minutes about Pratyangira Devi. Pratyangira was the goddess which was brought to appease Narsimha. After Narsimha killed Hiranyakashipu, he went out of control. He became so vicious and he started spewing so much energy that the whole cosmos was under threat. And they sent several entities to pacify him. He could not be pacified. Finally, a devi was created called Pratyangira Devi. So she is a very ferocious Devi, and she is used for basically for protection from evil spells and all that. So this one can pray to Pratyangira Devi. There is sadhanas available and all, and Narsimha and Lalita Gauri. This could be one way. Pujas and all that. I don't know. That's one direction. Other approach could be a Atmakarak. So Ishta Devata determination from Atmakarak. So are you aware how to determine the Ishta Devata from Atmakarak? Hello?
No, sir, we have not been taught.
Okay. Nothing is taught to us. Let me tell you that.
Okay.
None of this was taught to me also. No, nothing is taught. We have to learn somehow on our own or some way. Nothing much is taught. What is taught is a direction. Is disha mein padho.
Yes.
That's all that is taught. Actually, see now if you quickly look at the D3, like we said, Mars and Moon are affected, right? That's why the remedy spiritual healing required. I'm quickly pointing out to you few things. D60, Mars is again afflicting Venus, and Moon is afflicted by Neptune here in a way. So particularly in D60, Mars needs to be treated. Mercury also perhaps needs to be treated, but that's another separate discussion. Now, what is the Karakansh Kundali? Karakansh Kundali, you know, right?
Yes.
What is it? Tell me.
Navamsha sign of Atmakarak. Make
Correct.
that as the ascendant.
Perfect. Correct. So, sorry. I need to. So, Navamsha sign, you make that the Atmakarak, that is the Karakausha. It's also called Swausha. Some places they call it Swausha Kundali, but Karakausha is the commonly used this thing. Now here, if you see the Navamsha Kundali, the Atmakarak is Jupiter, no? I make that the ascendant.
Okay.
I make that the ascendant in the D9. So you see the 12th. So the concept is the moksha sthan of the Atmakarak in the D9.
Okay.
So if D9, if the Atmakarak is ascendant, then the 12th house from that, which is the moksha sthan, or the lord thereof, if it is empty. If it contains a planet, then that graha, otherwise the lord thereof. So here moon is very much there. So the moon itself is the access to healing, because moon is also the CPPL, remember. So moon is saying I can be healed if you know how to appease me, how to. So the Ishta Devata is moon again. So therefore you come to Lalita Gauri, Devi and all that. If perhaps pearl, wearing a pearl will be a good idea. Now support, other approach is what? You support, you pray to the net, you appease the nakshatra deity of the natal moon. Follow? That is another approach, because the moon in this lifetime is born in Scorpio in Anuradha. Anuradha deity is Mitra. You know what is the meaning of Anuradha, by the way? Anybody knows the meaning of Anuradha? The word Anuradha? Following Radha. Radha means Vishakha. The other name for Vishakha is Radha.
Okay.
So therefore, Vishakha Nakshatra, following Vishakha is Anuradha. Right? Vishakha Nakshatra Devata is Indragni, that as you know. Anyway, so Mitra Anuradha. So the Surya Namaskars, if he does, it could support his natal, my moon to heal, perhaps. That is my thought process. Now, again, this is not sacrosanct. I am not an expert, I am not an authority. I am only applying my mind with my limited understanding as to how to approach. Now, another approach could be, how can we heal this H6 and the H11 houses, lords in a D1? So 6 at 12 analysis, if you do here, you find that sixth lord is Mercury, correct? Mercury is anyway afflicted, and Mercury is Amatya Karak also. So Mercury with Vishnu Sahasranam, right? And of course, the 11th lord is Mars. So Mercury, Mars comes into picture. Mars as like above. Mars, there are other ways. One way of appeasing Mars is through Uchchish Ganapati, which is the Ugra Ganapati. You can use Narasimha. One, you can use Pratyangira Devi. Ugra Upasana of Mars might be required. Or you can use what is called as Panchamukhi Hanuman. Panchamukhi Hanuman is a tantric Hanuman, incidentally. More of that later. Maybe we can discuss sometime. And if some of you know something, you can please enlighten me also. Guidance from the Atmakarak. How to channelize better. So, Atmakarak is Jupiter, no? So, can we appease Jupiter? Food distribution on Thursday. And puja at Ganagapur or Dattatreya Sthan, any Dattatreya Sthan such as Ganagapur. There is a temple at Ganagapur. There is a temple at Kirloskarwadi. Datta, wherever Datta is. So, there is a powerful temple at Ganagapur. Okay. Where Datta, particularly these shraps, Jupiter shraps and all, a lot of work happens there. Finally, counseling and individual and group psychotherapy. I think that might be the approach, perhaps, because psychotherapy will help as a group, as an individual, as a family, because they are all affected in a way, clearly. And can this malady be cured? So the answer is Rudrangsha. Do you know what is Rudrangsha chart? Do you know what is Rudrangsha? Hello?
No, sir.
Ekadashansha or Rudrangsha. Now, I will explain to you quickly and then we end this today's talk. See, the understanding is like this, that sixth house is the house of disease, rog, run, ripu, whatever. Sixth from sixth, bhavat, bhavam is the 11th house. Now, the 11th house is also the rog, is kind of, but it is, remember, it is the labhasthana also. It is the upachaya sthana, it is the labhasthana basically. It's also a good house. So, the 11th house offers the antidote to the sixth house. You follow? So, while 11th house is also the roga sthana in a way, but 11th house can be like an antidote to the sixth house. Antidote as in a solution or a partial alleviation of the maladies signified by the sixth house. Correct? So 11th house is called the Ekadasha Sthana or Labhasthana. 11th, there is also a special divisional chart which is not among the Shodasha Varga of Parashar, but special divisional charts which is the D11, which is the cure, as it says here, cure. So D11 is a key chart. Likewise, the third house is an antidote to the 8th house, because the third house is Bhavat Bhavam of the 8th, but third is also the Parakramastan. So how can you overcome misfortune of the 8th? By Purushartha of the third. Are you following? Okay. Likewise, how can you overcome the disease of the 6th? By activating the 11th house, perhaps. Because it is also the. So now, if you look at the 11th house, that could hold the key. Now, the 11th house, you see, the Lagnesh is what? Lagnesh, there is an exchange of houses between Mercury and Jupiter. Jupiter, so here you see Sun, Rahu, this is all affected. Sun, Rahu, Mars, these are affected in the 6th house. So perhaps it will give some indication. Now, this is very advanced stuff. I don't know beyond this. This is where my knowledge ends. I have no more access. But something to do with the 11th house. So 11th house of the 11th house. See, 11th house of the 11th, of the D11 is what? Libra, Like for D10, we see 10th house of D10 also, no? You don't know that, no? For D10, we look at the H10 of the D10 also. Are you aware of that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
You are aware, no, that when you look at the Dashash Kundali, we look at the not only the 10th house of the D1, we also look at the 10th house of the D10.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Likewise, here we can look at the 11th house of the D11 chart, which here is Venus. Venus. And Venus is exalted. You see? So perhaps Venus needs to be rectified in some manner. Perhaps Venus himself will, I don't know, start functioning well at some stage. So we leave it at that. Maybe the Lalita Gauri part, which is again the goddess, will if they do these remedies. They are not doing these remedies because the parents are mostly atheists. Okay. So with this,
Why they're the thing says astrology, sir, they're atheist. I don't know.
no, they are not doing. So the thing is, they shared with somebody.
Okay.
You can actually open your video now, maybe for 5 minutes, and we wind up. So they shared with somebody they were in problem, they were doing medical treatment and all, and then that person said that he knows me, he knows this person, Dr. Rahul, and why don't you consult him?
Mhm.
So it was a challenge. So the remedies they will not do, perhaps, but nevertheless. So I hope this was in
Final question, one confusion always comes to us. How much we can change the future by doing all these things? We don't know that thing.
correct.
This is only hope and we trust one.
No, so there are two things. I don't know. There is one way of looking at it, that there is Sanchit karma and there is Prarabdha. No?
Yes, sir.
What we are experiencing is Prarabdha.
Arabdha.
What has come to surface. No?
Yes, sir.
Sanchit we don't know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So perhaps by doing this, if the
Okay.
Sanchit is getting affected, so that the malady will be reduced, perhaps duration will be reduced, something like that. We don't know. Or maybe
Okay.
there are, so this is very empirical. We don't know really. That is one. Secondly, it could be a case of self-programming also. That, heal yourself. I do some purushartha every day. I wake up, I do something, it's like a positive feedback.
At least you feel better. They are doing something.
I, I don't know. At an experiential level, you have to ask yourself if the remedies work. Maybe sometimes
Sir, is this boy social or is an introvert? Because he's into the
no,
gaming and
he's not. No, he's not introvert. Now he has become like a. Now he's right now. No games are provided to him. iPhone is. He was using the latest iPhones, selfies, all kinds of digital this thing. Now at the moment he has been weaned off that, but he's under psychiatric medication also.
Sir, does he have ADHD also? Any idea?
What is DDHD?
ADHD, attention deficit
Yes,
hyperactivity disorder.
I think so. Yes, he
It
has
was
that.
common in such cases. That's
Yes,
why
yes,
I'm asking.
yes, he has that. I think
It
yes.
probably this boy would be having anger issues because Mars in seventh house would always give the anger issues.
Correct.
So so it's a Mangalic kind of thing. Some of
Correct,
people believe in the Mangalic thing. So essentially, first of all, this person, the family has to do the Mangal Shanti, because without that, and believe me, sir, I am also a Mangalik, and I did that and my Mangal Dasha is going on. So
Oh.
and I did that at Ujjain, and it actually works. So at Ujjain they do a Mangal Bhat Puja, and it actually works for Mars.
No, I will actually perhaps or privately I will talk to you, because
Sir,
I am looking for certain remedies also for
sir,
myself as well as some family members. So I will perhaps, because I am struggling with the remedy part, how to
right,
implement
sir,
actually.
right,
Yeah,
sir,
surely I will consider. I will take your advice.
sir.
Aparna, sorry, Archana Paricharak.
Uh, huh. Sir, my question is, let's say he goes through, or we are able to channelize his energies,
Mhm.
the misplaced energies.
Mhm.
and he's reformed. Let's see, he's very young right now,
Right.
right? And we've put him in some psychological place, right, where
Right.
there's a chance to get him reformed.
Yes.
So let's say he is reformed, maybe in a couple of years, 5 years,
Okay.
maybe in some Saturn Dasha or something.
Right.
So maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line,
Right.
once he is reformed, he is transformed, and he has a good future or good situation, good circumstances,
Right.
how do we see that using the same charts that we saw?
Yeah. So I will show you right away. The chart to see will be D10. D10 chart, and D10 is quite brilliant if you notice.
Okay.
D10 chart is pretty good because you see Saturn is in exaltation. Mars, Rahu also are not too much creating trouble. Venus in Lagna and Jupiter, Mercury in the 9th house. Overall, Moon still continues to be a problem, but he will be successful in life.
Right.
He will be successful, but at what cost to the society? For example, he could be involved. He could be a model coordinator who does kabutar baji, who does probably is part of some girl trafficking ring, perhaps, or he
Right.
may be into media. He may be a small time actor. Come, I don't know. So
Right.
he will do
Right. So
asuri thing. He will do
right.
he will become very rich. By the way, I can see that he will become very rich. He will perhaps become a role model for a lot of people. You see.
Hmm.
But but the problem is at what cost? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, correct?
Maybe, as you said, the next year would be difficult.
Yes,
20,
yes,
he won't change himself before 2026, maybe
correct, correct. That's
2025,
a
late
challenge for the
26.
parents very much actually. I mean, fortunately they are rich. They can afford him, put him somewhere and all that. Nandan, any questions?
No, sir.
Sneha, madam, Sneha, any questions?
Sir, we also found Hanuman Chalisa is very effective, sir.
Right.
If we do, it's a very, I found it personally, it's very effective.
My Ishtadevata from Jyotish is Hanuman actually.
Okay.
So,
Sir,
so I am.
only, sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt. Go on, please.
yeah. You are saying something. Bola.
I mean, he's very young, right? So these traditional remedies, I don't know if he'll
That's the problem. That's the very much.
change.
And parents are basically Sikhs. They are Sikh people. They are not. They are Sikh, so they are not so much into Hindu temples and all. Mata Devi and all that is fine, but beyond that, they are not into other things. Dattatreya, ye wo, they will not.
Right.
There is
They
a little
won't.
compliance issue is there. Father is a total atheist. Mother is like a semi-believer. So
So
there are
maybe
challenges. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe reading books that he likes, because Moon, Venus, Jupiter, the three
Mhm.
things, and Rahu.
Yeah, he is intelligent. He can be channelized that way, and he's kind of a family person also in that sense. But at the moment he's very labile. You can't. He may do anything, and he may inflict violence or something. That way. Right. So
So just one thing,
yeah.
when we talk about this Ishtadevata thing, not related to this. So in
Yes.
the Karakamsha, if somebody has Rahu in 12th, so Ishtadevata would be Bhairav,
No. It will be Durga.
Durga.
Durga. So Rahu is appeased by Durga very
Hmm.
much. So yeah, that way.
Okay.
Huh. So actually Rahu, because Rahu uh, was जो Rahu hai basically is the Swarabhanu, that the connected to that. So basically Durga.
Right.
Durga
Good.
will give him moksha basically that way. Decapitate and give him moksha basically. That way.
Right.
Right. Great.
Right.
So should we Vishwanath ji
No, sir.
any
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for attending and
Thank
being
you,
a
sir.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
sir.
sir. It will
Very,
get
very
and
informative. Thank
Brilliant
you.
stuff, sir.
what did you say?
It was brilliant stuff, sir. We didn't know that much actually.
Huh.
Thank you.
I was mesmerized learned that 2.5 hours, so frankly.
Yeah, did not realize that it is already 2 hours 45 minutes.
Yes, yes.
No, I
Yeah.
apologize for the delay, because it's
No, sir.
Not at all,
It is a pleasure. We could not realize that this much time has passed.
right.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Actually, personally, I could not. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, we are also mesmerizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
Now,
very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
on 22nd now, we'll have the session. I'm preparing for that. I'll see what I can do for the career thing. And
Sure.
one more thing, next week's sessions, 27, 29, some alteration we will do time-wise and all, because there is some schedule mix-up and all happening. But I will make sure I complete. I'm trying to do something new every time, and we'll see something else.
So
Thank
actually,
you.
we are in V1, but still like to attend those classes, sir.
Okay. Which ones?
Sir, career and all that thing, na, sir. We are in V1.
No, yeah, I know. So it is a part of the. I mean, technically, this is advanced predictive only. I'm not
Yes,
following any syllabus. I'm just trying to pull out something different, which
No problem,
challenges me also,
Yes, yes.
and which I try to then present to you and see where it goes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Good night.
thank you.
Good night,
Thank you
sir.
so much, sir. Thank you. Good night. Sir, one request.
हा बोला ना.
सर प्लीज ते हे पाठवाल लिंक्स झूमचे आपले जे V1 चे झालेले
हो ते मी पाठवतो. गौरीश ना.
हो गौरीश
हा मी पाठवतो. मी लगेच उद्या पाठवतो ते.
चालेल येस
चालेल.
सर
ओके, थँक्यू.
थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.
छान झालं सर.
बरं झालं ना मॅडम.
एकदम मस्त वेगळी कन्सेप्ट कळली
हो.
आणि छान म्हणजे एकदम
नाही,
छान झालं.
तुम्ही अटेंड केलं
हो.
मॅडम, बरं वाटलं मला, कारण माझी फार इच्छा होती तुम्ही अटेंड करावं.
नाही मी करणारच होते. मागच्या वेळेला कसं राहिलं माहित नाही मला, कदाचित मी बघितलं नसेल किंवा दुसरं काहीतरी. आता इकडे कॅनडात आहे ना, काहीतरी वेगळा विषय चालू असेल, कोणतरी बोलत असेल, त्याच्यात विसरून गेले असेल, बाकी काही नाही. नाही आता 22 तारखेला करते ना अटेंड परत.
हो. आता मी मॅडम करिअर रिलेटेड काहीतरी प्रयत्न करतोय, काहीतरी वेगळं जरा, म्हणजे
हो.
D10 संबंधी वगैरे.
हा
नंतर मला जरूर
चालेल ना, करिअर पाहिजेच, कारण करिअरचे प्रश्न लोकांना येतात ना सारखे.
हो.
जॉबच्या रिलेटेड, करिअरच्या रिलेटेड, त्यामुळे ते पाहिजेच आहे. चालेल.
बरोबर.
अच्छा बाय.